Prefer that SDFC wins against the Colorado Rapids or the Padres win against the Colorado Rockies?
I prefer both.
Okay, but if you could only have one.
Life or death?
Yes, your life is on the line based on these results.
Hi, the Padres.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Why do you hate SDFC like that?
I knew that was coming.
I cannot believe that.
That was coming.
Did anyone hear that?
I knew it was coming.
I'm a nice guy.
I knew he was going to say that.
Unbelievable.
I knew he was going to say that.
What is it?
I knew he was going to say it.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one, Jon and Jim, Friday afternoon. Really good show lined up. Kyle Newman on the Colorado Rockies, who are tied for the worst record in baseball. They are here tonight. Kyle will join us at 2:30. We have Tim Hagerty, who calls games for the El Paso Chihuahuas at 3 p.m. Padres AAA affiliate. Kevin Acee will join us at 5. We'll talk SDFC as well. But we've got a very good show for you here over the next 4 hours. We've got a giveaway for you as well. We were doing some 4D chess last night, or you were, where you're like, oh my gosh, Acee Rosario's not in the lineup in AAA. And again, Tim Hagerty will join us at 3. Connor Joe wasn't in the lineup yesterday. What does this have to do with Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jake Cronenworth's availability this weekend? We'll find out soon enough, because the lineup card will be posted probably at some point in the next hour or so. As of now, nothing has changed, right? Same status for both Cronenworth and Tatis based on the little ouchies and what Mike Shildty had to say 48 hours ago. But we're waiting for official word. And Connor Joe never appeared last night in AAA. Acee Rosario did. So we'll wait and see, and we should know more sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was going to turn into anything. Maybe it still will. Maybe they were out of the lineup just as like precautionaries. They didn't want to get hurt because they were probably going to maybe get called up today, or at least be on the taxi squad.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Acee did appear last night. Connor Joe did not. Yeah, I was just trying to do conspiracy theory just to see. Interesting. You got Brett Sullivan in left field, catcher.
Right.
You got Tyler Wade in center field.
There had to be a reason, right?
Maybe there was no reason. Honestly, maybe there was just hey, YOLO, we want you batting the lineup. So.
I don't think it's I don't think it's conspiracy. Like, to me, there has to be some correlation between the Padres injury situation and the AAA lineup last night. Now, maybe when we see this lineup card, everything is fixed. Tatis is back in there leading off. Jake Cronenworth's in this lineup. There's nothing to be concerned about. Jackson Merrill hopefully is back in 5 or 6 days. Or you don't see Tatis in the lineup, or you don't see Jake Cronenworth in the lineup, and then you begin to get a little concerned, specifically with Fernando Tatis Jr. So that, to me, is the story of the day. Obviously, the Padres have gotten off to this great start. The Rockies, it's deja vu all over again. They've gotten off to a terrible start. Padres opening a series downtown. To me, it's the health of the Padres that's the most important part of the weekend for fans heading into this series.
Exactly. To me, it is if they can get Tatis and Cronenworth back in this series, that's good for me. Now, again, you don't want to lose the series to the lowly Rockies, but getting these two guys back and seeing them healthy back on the field, I think will give every Padres fan a big sigh of relief. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Losing Jackson Merrill on the 10-day IL earlier this week, that was a little bit like shock to the system. Mm-hmm. Like, whoa, what? This guy's like invincible. I know he's not, but like, what happened? He just signed a massive contract. He's playing great. Why he's go? Anytime a player goes on the IL, it almost feels like end of the world, especially a star player. Mm-hmm. You're like, season's over.
Right.
Here we go again. But having one player go on the IL of Jackson Merrill's, status, okay, but still they have enough there to compete while he's out, obviously, and win baseball games. Then when you see the double whammy the next night of Tatis and Cronenworth, then you start having those evil thoughts creep into your mind of, yeah, it was too good to be true, right?
Right.
If those guys get back on the field tonight, tomorrow, or anytime this weekend, like, it will give a sigh of relief to Padres fans, even though there's really no need for a sigh of relief, because it doesn't seem like these injuries are going to be long-term injuries in the first place.
I do wonder, and maybe we'll get an update.
Knock on wood.
I was going to say that I do wonder from Tatis, maybe we'll hear from him directly at some point, or even Mike Shildty on Tatis. What was the injury? Because if it's a tweak of a shoulder, it just didn't feel well because of what you did. He had an awkward slide at third, then had an awkward swing, but everything's okay. It was just precautionary. Like, what actually occurred for Tatis to leave the game? The Cronenworth thing makes complete sense. He was drilled in the ribs on a 40-degree day. He said he's never been hit by a pitch worse than he was on Sunday. That makes complete sense. If you hurt your ribs, you can't walk, you can't breathe, as you said before. The fact that he was in the lineup is a credit to Jake Cronenworth. Maybe it takes a couple of days, but there's a full explanation for Cronenworth. It's the fact that he got drilled with a 96-mile-per-hour fastball in his kidney or ribs. The Tatis thing, I don't feel as if I have a full explanation on the health of his shoulder, because this is a guy that's dealt with shoulder injuries his whole career, had surgery on the shoulder to repair it, yet it still has been, I think Kevin wrote it, he's had a bulky shoulder, but it was a repaired shoulder. So is it a bulky shoulder, or was it bulky because of what happened 2 days ago or 3 days ago in Sacramento?
When's Kevin on today?
I'll hold you on at 5.
Okay, so after...
I'm going to ask if he's had a bulky shoulder.
Media availability. Yeah, of course. Hey, did this happen this week, or has this been something that's been nagging for him?
Exactly.
Because Tatis came into camp, best shape of his life, like most people.
Right.
Like every player. Best shape of my life. I remember hearing him at FanFest and him saying, like, fine, I'm fully ready to go. I'm fully healthy. But that's everybody at the start of the season. Then you get into the spring training and get nicks and bruises right away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come out of spring training feeling like you did going into spring training, because you're into the grind. And that's just what it is. You're basically essentially 2 months in already without having too much wear and tear on your body, but there's still a little wear and tear.
That's
you're
a good point.
Going through workouts every day, you're getting ready for games. You're playing baseball now. Like you're playing baseball every day, essentially. Not to the level it is when you get into the regular season, but I mean, Tatis has had injuries in spring training before, like subluxing his shoulder multiple times in spring training. Remember that time when he 2021, I want to say, probably like 2 weeks before the season started, and he slides head first into home, I think it was, or third, or wherever it was.
Didn't he go second to home in a spring training game back in the day?
And he slid head first, and that's when he hurt his shoulder.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I was like, what are we doing?
Everyone's like, what are you doing? That's, again, it goes back to our point that we have made repeatedly over the years about Tatis. When he's on the field, he can be utter brilliance. But unfortunately, he's missed 40% of the games the Padres have played since opening day 2019. That's a factual statement. He's actually missed 40% of every Padres game since his major league debut, opening day 2019. If he's back in there today, no one's talking about it. It's water under bridges. It's a one-day blip. All players miss 1, 2, 3, 4 games in 2025 in baseball. If he's not in there today, to me, it's the lead story. When we talk about it tonight on the wrap-up show, they win or lose against Colorado, but we didn't see Fernando Tatis Jr. So he's got his best availability is his availability, right? His best ability is being on the field. He has to be on the field. Hopefully he is here tonight. We're going to know within an hour if he is or not. If he isn't, it's a massive story all day. If he is, it feels like crisis averted for now.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's going to be a massive story.
You're right.
It's a story, though. Yeah. And I would suspect that he's going to be available to speak to the media.
True. And also, wasn't he, to your point, he was available to pinch hit or in an emergency?
That's what Shildty said.
That was 2 days ago.
So now back at home, you're going to get more media there, more coverage. I would suspect he speaks and talks about it.
Right.
Unless the team really doesn't want him to talk. Then I would be concerned if the team's like, yeah, you can't speak.
I wouldn't think that would be the case. I really wouldn't.
I don't either.
If he's active, he's active. If he's inactive,
right,
he's inactive.
That's when you don't. That's when you're not allowed to speak. I think is if.
Well, if he's on the IL, he's probably not going to speak.
Well,
maybe he would speak around the circumstances he did last year.
Well, Joe speaks, and he's on the season. He's not pitching this year, but
that's fair. I mean, again, I guess
some people do, some people don't.
Yeah, exactly. A year ago, he spoke when he went on the IL because he fractured his leg, and people wanted an explanation.
It's not a. It's not like an NFL thing. I want to like NFL when guys get injured, they don't speak.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, baseball, you can still speak.
Well, he could definitely speak. Yeah. I don't know if he'll be required to speak if he goes on the IL.
Yeah. Same with basketball. I don't think if you get injured in basketball,
you don't really hear from the player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Again, I think based on if what Mike Shildty said 2 days ago is truthful, then we're going to see both Jake Cronenworth and Fernando Tatis Jr. if it's not tonight, this weekend.
Right.
And if not, nothing's changed. We're all human beings. So you might have thought something on Tatis. Maybe something's changed. And then he's not available. But from what I heard from Mike Shildty 2 days ago, we played it for you on Jon and Jim, was the sound of a manager that was pretty optimistic about, well, all three of the players. Jackson Merrill, he said, listen, we're just going to do it. Let's be safe. It's a long year, but he'll be back after 10 days. And then he said with Tatis and Cronenworth, precautionary. And we hope to get him back this weekend. That's what he said.
If you're Jackson Merrill, has to be like the worst week of your life, right?
because you're
far.
going to miss. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's young, dude. He's still 20. Honestly, when you're 21, you don't have the perspective that he's going to have when he's 31 as a player. Like, you're right. It is the first time he's going through something that most other players, veteran players, have already gone through. But he's never gone through this.
I'm kind of half-heartedly joking there. It's not the worst day. It's not the worst week of his life.
I would hope not. But he's had a pretty good life if it is.
For sure. But knowing his like competitiveness and how much he just loves playing baseball, and all he wants to do is play baseball, not be able to play baseball because of an injury. Oof. I can't remember either if he's gotten injured before in his career.
That's what I was going to say. He has because just looking real quick. Someone had it. I listened to something about he wasn't fully healthy one of his years in the minor leagues. Like in 2023, for example, Jim, he played 114 combined games. Is that a full season for someone of Jackson Merrill's ilk? I would say no.
Okay.
114 sounds like he missed time. And in 2022.
Are you sure about that? Maybe don't they have how long is this season? What
144.
I know. Okay.
But 114 between single A and double A. I'm pretty sure Jackson Merrill missed time in the minor leagues.
Because of injury?
Due to injury. Can someone confirm that? 70470 started with team. I'm always positive he missed time at one point or dealt with an injury in the minor leagues. But you're right. He's a young player. He doesn't have a lot of professional experience, including the major leagues.
Yeah. And this is not a like major injury. I would not put it in the major injury category. No. Same thing with Tatis and Cronenworth. I would put it in like the nagging injury category that could turn into things that are of annoyance.
Right.
Hamstring, dude, that is an annoying injury.
Absolutely.
Tatis in his shoulder, I'm sure that is a very annoying injury. Whatever Jake's dealing with, I think it just needs time. I don't think it's like a nagging reoccurring injury. I think it just needs time to like heal up because of how sore it is.
How about this? He missed 3 months in 2022 because he broke his wrist and had a hamstring.
How did we not remember?
He was out from April 29th to July 31st with both a wrist and a hamstring. And right now, he's dealing with a hamstring. In 2022, I'm assuming most of this was because of a wrist. He missed 3 months, over 3 months, 3 months and 2 days because of a wrist and a hamstring.
So definitely this is not the worst moment of his professional career so far.
Exactly.
That's way
also,
worse.
August 2021 had his rookie level debut cut short because of a minor hip flexor injury. So again, this is what players are going to deal with, especially young players. I mean, he's 18 and 19 dealing with some of this stuff. He's still only 21. And he'll be fine on the other side, presumably.
And he was fully healthy last year. So
he was healthy.
Yeah, there's really nothing that would, besides that would present him as a guy that, is injury prone or gets injured a lot, because guess what? This is only year 2.
Right.
And year 1 was fantastic and he was fully healthy.
Yep.
I think this is just like a little ouchie, like a legitimate little ouchie.
I'll give you a reason on the other side that has nothing to do with injuries, why Padres fans should be on high alert this weekend against the Rockies here at Petco Park. We'll share that with you on the other side. Kyle Newman covers the Rockies for the Denver Post. He'll join us coming up at 2:30. This is Jon and Jim. On the IL, he has a rib fracture, and the Padres have selected Tyler Wade from AAA. So not everything lost for Mike Shildty because he loves Tyler Wade. But Jake Cronenworth, the latest Padre to go on the IL following Jackson Merrill, who went on the IL earlier this week. So Cronenworth out. We haven't seen an update on Fernando Tatis Jr. We'll see if he's in the lineup. We'll hear what Mike Shildty said just 2 days ago, but remember, they were optimistic about Cronenworth and about Tatis, and now we've learned that Cronenworth, who was hit squarely with a fastball Sunday in Chicago, has a fractured rib and will miss at least the next 10 days.
I thought everything was okay.
Everything, according to everyone, was great. It's the same with Merrill.
What did I say? Now, again, not the end of the world. Fractured rib, that's not good. That's more than a little ouchy. But anytime this organization speaks on injuries, take it with the smallest grain of salt you can find, because one day they're fine tracking a beat here and there, and they said, "Look, things can change." So I'll give them that. You know, Shildty said we have the right to, I think,
reserve judgment or some
BS. Okay, whatever. But yeah, anytime they talk about injuries, I never really fully listen to them unless it's actually like they say, like, oh, he's broken this or broken that, Tommy John, this and that. If they are talking about, well, we'll see here and there, most likely, probably not going to end well.
Yeah, but hear me out. So he's got a fractured rib. Well, he was hit on Sunday.
So he's playing with it?
Wouldn't you have maybe x-rayed it?
Well, they sometimes they take a little while to do those things, John.
X-ray it? Take a little while to do what? They have x-rays in all 30 major league stadiums.
John, it's the Padres. What do you expect with injuries?
Well, no, I mean, they're not. This isn't like he was in the lineup.
I know.
So this was them just getting it wrong. I mean, they didn't even do imaging. He must not have thought he had broken anything based on what happened.
Probably what I would assume.
5 days later, under imaging, because you can't break something without imaging, without an x-ray. You can't know if something's broken. So there's been an x-ray done.
My guess.
And they found out that he has a broken rib.
My guess, he thought he felt good enough to play, played Monday, felt fine. He hit a home run in that game, right?
He did.
And then Tuesday, he must have, like, I don't know, was the swing must have like aggravated it.
Maybe.
And then that's what happened, and it cracked the rib. And I mean, that's kind of weird. That's a swing cracked the rib.
Well, I don't think it did. I think if you get hit by a fastball by a 96 mile per hour pitch, that's much more likely to crack your rib than swinging.
Well, okay. But I mean, I'm not going to try to be like doctor, like investigative doctor here, but something happened on Tuesday, hurt himself to where it's like, yeah, this does not feel good. Out of the lineup on Wednesday. I'm sure they came home and they did some imaging and then got the imaging back and then knew probably yesterday they were going to put him on the IL, or late last night they're going to put him on the IL.
You can't put him on the IL.
And then the first thing they're going to do today is put him on the IL, called Tyler Wade.
Right. Here's what happened. I don't care what anyone says, because this isn't investigative doctor. He was hit by a 96 mile per hour fastball on his ribs. So he broke a rib on Sunday when he was hit by a 96 mile per hour fastball. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take to recover from that. I think rib injuries can be pretty annoying. You can't do anything about it other than wait for it to heal. There's no other way to do it or deal with that. So Cronenworth out, Merrill out. You're down 2 regulars and 2 key contributors. Obviously, Jackson Merrill goes without saying, and Jake Cronenworth is an everyday player for this team. And we don't know if Fernando Tatis Jr. is 100% either, or what his status is tonight, because we haven't seen a lineup.
Luckily, if Jake were to go down, I'm cool with who they have behind him, which is Jose Iglesias.
Okay.
Like, you know, a guy that can hit both lefties and righties. Jake is an everyday player for sure.
Yep.
But, you know, it's not like you lost Manny Machado and the backup to Manny Machado. You're like, oh, we're screwed.
Right.
Jake is an important part of this team for the depth and because he does bring value. And he's had a good season to start this year. But I am okay with the next man stepping up behind Jake Cronenworth. Tatis goes down for a significant part of time. That's when you start being like, okay, the depth of this roster is really going to be stretched thin right now. And I'm sure Shildty is literally through the roof that Tyler Wade is back on this active roster. He probably was, texting him late last night. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
He probably was the one that elbowed Jake on his way out of his office. Hey,
He's
I hope you feel better Friday.
Wadey.
This is what Shildty said. We have it, Brent, right? This is what Shildty said post-game Wednesday after the Padres won a series against the A's.
Crony, we still feel like cramp, still getting some of that out of there, inflammation fluid a little bit out of there. We do expect him, but we'll hold our feet to the fire with him being in there on Friday. Toddy had a good night, good day today. Could have been available in a pinch. Clearly stayed away from him. So he's optimistic. We're optimistic as well.
For Friday, just to be clear.
We're optimistic for Friday, but again, we got some time between now and then to evaluate it. So we reserve our right, but they're both tracking in a good place.
Oh, really?
Quick, remember what I said 2 days ago, or when the injury happened to Cronenworth? I'm like, what is cramping? There's no cramping. I've never heard of someone cramping getting out of the box and then still dealing with cramping. When you cramp, you don't break a rib. So the cramping thing never made any sense. Kevin Acee said the same thing with this Wednesday. He's like, I haven't got an explanation on the cramping.
When did Shildty say that? Wednesday?
Well, it was Wednesday afternoon. And he was still dealing with cramping. Do people deal with cramping for days on end?
We feel good about Friday for Jake. 2 days later, IL broken rib.
Well, they said the same thing about Merrill on Monday.
I know.
Right? Hey, we feel good about Jackson Merrill.
Maybe Shildty should just not talk about injuries.
I mean, he's asked, but yeah.
He can't and he won't give any details on any injuries. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team policy. They're not truthful when it comes to injuries. They think that they're trying to preserve some competitive advantage. Okay. But it does kind of frustrate you, especially as a fan, if you hear Shildty say those things on Wednesday and you're thinking all yesterday and leading up to today up until 2 p.m.
They're fine.
I feel good. And then 20 minutes ago, boom, IL fractured rib. You're like, what the hell, bro?
And that, to me, fractured rib doesn't scream, oh, you'll be off the IL in 9 days. Maybe you will. We need an update there too. Like, is this a 3-week prognosis? Is this a 10-day prognosis?
They'll never tell you.
I know, but I need to know. All right, Kyle Newman, Denver Post on the other side. Why the Padres should be on high alert this weekend against the Rockies. This is Jon and Jim.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night?
hope will help turn around this team. One of them being Chase Dollander, who just recently made his debut and will be pitching this weekend at Petco Park. But I mean, they're banking on the young guys trying to turn around the ship. Obviously, they're saddled with Chris Bryant and his albatross of the contract, and I think it's just a matter of time before they cut bait with that. But we're seeing a lot of these young guys start to make their way to the majors and make an impression. Obviously, Ezekiel Tovar at shortstop and Britton Doyle, they've been in center field. They've been, some pillars on this team for the last couple of years. Have both won Gold Gloves. Doyle back-to-back Gold Glove winners. They're trying to build around them. They're trying to build around Ryan McMahon at third, Michael Tolley at first. And we're seeing some of these young guys come up, like Chase Dollander in the rotation. And then most recently, earlier this week, Zach Veen, the corner outfielder, who was also a former first-round pick. So they're banking on that. And at the trade deadline the last 2 years, they've stockpiled, some arms, some pitching, like Victor Vodnik, who is now out in their bullpen and is one of their back-end guys. So it's definitely not coming to fruition this year. I don't even know if next year is a realistic possibility for them to turn the corner, especially in this division. But we're seeing the blueprint. Whether the blueprint will work is definitely still to be determined over these next few years.
How's our buddy Black holding up?
The losses definitely wear on them. You can tell. And there has been criticism here in Denver of them keeping Buddy on. Just got renewed on a 1-year deal for this season. And there's been criticism of that, of, Bill Schmidt still sitting in the GM chair. And, a lot of people, including our own columnists at the Denver Post, kind of calling out the complacency, a franchise seemingly okay with losing. And guys, that's because the franchise, the Monsters, has Coors Field, which is going to, draw about 3 million fans each summer regardless, even if the Rockies are in the cellar. Just a great place to see a park, good baseball town. And when, teams come to town like the Cardinals and, the Yankees now, it gets packed. So there's not a lot of incentive for the ownership, in my opinion, to field a winning ball club when you got that sort of steady attendance. I think they're trying, but they are loyal to a fault within the Rockies organization. And in terms of back to your question about Buddy, is he the right guy for this youth movement, for this rebuilding job? I'm not sure. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a good baseball guy. But I definitely think the losing over the last couple of seasons has worn on him. And you can definitely tell through this tough start, the lack of offense and some of the defensive miscues we've seen, it gets to him. Whether he lasts the rest of the season, I think he will. I would bet, though, they make some sort of change here on the periphery in the next, few weeks or months as this team probably continues to struggle. And my guess would be the hitting coach goes first.
Yeah, especially in this division.
It's always the hitting coach's fault.
Well, in this division, it's like, what can you even expect? And when you start 3-9 in a division like the NOS, I mean, you almost have no shot from the opening bell, so to speak. Kyle Newman, Denver Post, with us right now on Jon and Jim. One of the constants for the Rockies over the years is German Marquez. Now he's pitching tonight. I know he came off Tommy John. He hasn't really pitched much in the last couple of years. He was with them probably the last time the Rockies were in the postseason, going back 6, 7, 8 years. How is Marquez in terms of his health, and what are the expectations here in 25?
Yeah, well, quick point to your note about, how can you expect this team to perform, from a coaching staff perspective. I don't blame Buddy Black, honestly, for the last 2 years or even this year's struggles. He's working with a roster that's just, quite frankly, not even close to as talented as the rest of the division. So your question about German Marquez, he's missed most of the last 2 years. Obviously, Tommy John surgery 2 seasons ago. Last year, he comes back and then has a stress reaction in his elbow. After one start, he's done for the year. This year, we've been told he's fully healthy. He's, made a couple starts, pitched decently, 2.45 ERA so far. I mean, as you mentioned, he was in the rotation last time they were in the playoffs, as was Antonio Senzatella and Kyle Freeland, both of whom are still in the rotation. Freeland pitched on Sunday at Petco. So for the Rockies to do, anything this year, and I think by anything, losing 90 games instead of 100 plus would be a step in the right direction. Right now, they're not on that track. But for them to get on that track, they're going to need their starting pitching to continue to do well. I mean, for the first week and 2 weeks of the season, the starting pitching has done pretty well. It's looked pretty good. Yeah, there's been a couple blips, but it's looked pretty strong. I mean, And Ryan Feltner is another guy to watch, a young right-hander who's kind of come into his own this last year and a half. Last September had a minuscule ERA and 5 starts, so he's looked really good. And then, of course, I mentioned Chase Dollander. The Rockies have proclaimed him the ace of the future. Can he live up to that hype? We'll see as he makes his second start here on Saturday at Petco.
When you look at awful contracts in baseball, where would you put Chris Bryant's right now?
I would put it number 1. I think it's not even close. I mean, look at the few games that he's played, the complete, almost non-existent power that he's had. I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like he wants to be a baseball player anymore. I definitely don't think he wants to be the guy in an organization. You talk about Buddy Black. I think Buddy Black, he won't say it, but he's kind of all but given up that Chris Bryant is even going to be a fraction of what they hoped he would be. It was a colossal mistake by the front office, to make that signing, colossal overpay. I think there's no doubt they're going to end up eating some of that, if not a majority of what's left. And then, Chris Bryant has admitted that he's got back issues, an arthritic back. It's going to be probably the worst contract the Colorado Rockies have ever seen. And that's saying something considering, the Mike Hampton deal and some of the other mistakes they've made, Ian Desmond in that mix. But it's going to go down as the worst contract in franchise history, and possibly the worst contract in all of Denver sports history, and topping, the Russell Wilson deal even.
What's funny is, as bad as he has been, to your point, I kind of put it on the organization. It was always a bad idea. Even if he performed, the contract made no sense. It seems so out of left field, right? When they made that deal, it just didn't seem like that was the solution for the Rockies long term, or that was a good way to spend money. Here's what I find interesting, and we haven't mentioned this yet on today's show. Do you know the Rockies over the last 2 years, Jim? Do you have any idea of the record? The Rockies against the Padres over the last 2 years. I'm going to ask my co-host, then I'll get to the question with Kyle.
I want to say close to 500.
The Rockies are 17-9 against the Padres the last 2 years.
Seriously?
The Rockies are 17-9 against the Padres the last 2 years. Any explanation for that, Kyle?
I don't know, but San Diego's got to pick it up. You look at the Rockies coming into Petco for a 3-game series this weekend. Fans should expect them to at least take 2 or 3 from this Rockies team. I mean, this Rockies team just doesn't have enough, firepower in the back. They strike out way too much. The bullpen has been worse than the majors so far. There's no reason the Rockies should be having the Padres number. And especially when you look at, I don't have the stat right in front of me, but the Dodgers have just owned the Rockies over the last, 3 or 4 years, really 5 years, ever since going back to 2018, I believe it was, when the Rockies almost won the division and then squandered it late in the season, lost the game 163 at Dodger Stadium for the division title. Rockies still without a division crown in their now 31-year history. And yeah, there's no reason the Padres, with how good of a team they've been, a playoff team, that the Rockies should be owning them. I will say maybe, part of that is the Coors Field factor, because even when the Rockies have struggled over the last couple of years, they do tend to play pretty well at home, above 500 at least. So that's the only thing I can point to. But, if you're a Padres fan, you want to see your Friars stick it up there.
This is not a baseball question for you, Kyle, but, being in Denver, obviously, covering the Rockies, but what the hell's going on with the Nuggets? What like that situation could not have been any weirder, and the timing could not have been any more bizarre.
Yeah, I don't really understand it at all. It was an extremely puzzling move. I get Calvin Booth getting run out of there as the GM, even though you got to credit him for some of the moves he made to get them the championship, like, bringing Aaron Gordon in with the trade a few years ago. But it's not on Michael Malone, I don't think. And I mean, the Nuggets are still going to make the playoffs, hopefully not in the play-in game, but they're still going to be a playoff team. Yes, they got the best player in the world on their team in Jokic, and there's high expectations, championship expectations. But I think it speaks to, the discord going on behind the scenes, the fact that Booth and Michael Malone just could not get on the same page over the past few off seasons and trying to build around Jokic. They obviously didn't give him enough help and supporting cast. And, we're seeing that this year. But yeah, I think I was one among many people in Denver and Colorado and just the NBA overall who was, stunned by the Michael Malone firing. Booth, I get. He probably had it coming, but Mike Malone, you led the team to their first championship just 2 years ago. He shouldn't have been shown the door, and I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, it's just kind of bizarre. The state of the NBA, that makes no sense. There's been so many coaches over the last handful of years that have NBA titles that have then been shown the door. Kyle, appreciate it. We enjoy you joining us here in San Diego. We're looking forward to this weekend series. Hopefully we'll do it again later on this season. And thanks for hopping on here in San Diego.
Thanks, Kyle.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, Kyle Newman from the Denver Post. We will hear directly from Fernando Tatis Jr. on his health. He has just spoken with the media. We'll hear directly from Fernando Tatis Jr. on his health. On the other side, as Jake Cronenworth has been placed on the IL, and the Padres take on the Rockies this weekend at Petco Park. This is Jon and Jim. back at it tomorrow night, taking on the Colorado Rapids on the road. You can hear the match live tomorrow night starting at 6 right here on San Diego Sports 760. You're home for SDFC. We're going to catch up with Fernando Tatis Jr. He's not going to join us right now. We caught up with him earlier, Jim.
Yeah.
He spoke with the media actually down at Petco Park. So we haven't seen a Padres lineup. Listen to this. This is less than 2 minutes. This is Tatis with the media. Now, Cronenworth is on the IL. We learned that within the last 30 minutes.
Cramping.
We have now broken rib.
Non-displaced fractured rib.
Now, Fernando Tatis Jr. had this to say about his health earlier this afternoon.
Great. I'm feeling really good. Moving on the right steps, and now let's see how it goes.
Are you starting to line up? Are you in the lineup tonight?
Still haven't talked to my skipper, but everything's moving positive, yeah.
Everything's checked out and you're fully cleared? No IL for you?
No, nothing of that. Like I said, everything is good, and moving in the right steps.
Do you still feel pain in the shoulder, any irritation? Or?
No pain. It was just uncomfort on movement, and but then after that, everything good and moving forward.
It sounds like you might have been able to contribute if needed. Is that kind of your understanding?
Yes. Yeah. I was on, and obviously I come from the left field, like WWE, in the 6 or 7 inning and something like that. But yeah, we did a bunch of exercise and clear up a lot of steps that needed to be checked in the training room, and everything was good and everything moving just fine.
Good timing with the off day yesterday too, in terms of just having another day.
Yeah, great timing. Great time to be home and breathe this beautiful air, and just happy to be here.
What's your rough news on Jake Cronenworth going to the IL? How good to see your boy kind of wake up?
It's good. It's good. I mean, obviously, I feel terrible about Jacob, but everybody knows what type of character he is and what type of ball player. He'll be back with us anytime soon, and in the meanwhile, we're gonna help that line.
Does that scream leading off tonight to you?
I don't know.
Either do I. But didn't he said something about we're taking the steps. All good, taking the steps. I haven't seen the lineup.
I'm much rather have them take, the slow play approach with Tatis potentially.
Yeah, you're playing the Rockies.
Then throw him out there tonight, and then he takes a swing, and you're like, oh, here we go.
I agree with that.
I'd much rather lose a battle and win a war than, trot him back out there sooner rather than later.
I agree. I mean, it's April 11th. You're playing the Colorado Rockies. He's obviously not needed, quote unquote, here today, but it will open up additional questions from people. Oh, Tatis hasn't played since Tuesday. Is he going to go on the IL? Like, what happened? I go back to that. There was no explanation there.
Oh, his shoulder?
Yeah, what happened? Because we're taking steps, all good, training staff, working through it. So what do you have? Do you have a dislocation? Do you have tendonitis? Do you have pain? What are you dealing with, Fernando, in your surgically repaired left shoulder? I'm just curious to know.
Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know if they know.
No, they don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. Just go. Do you feel good? Yeah. Okay, cool. You're in the lineup. It's great.
The reason we'll see. We'll see the lineup within 30 minutes. Hopefully he's in it. But just to offer my opinion right now, which is what we're paid to do, the reason I'm skeptical is that he's like, I haven't seen the lineup yet. That conversation's occurred.
Correct.
It's not like I'm waiting to see it posted. Hey, Skip's going to put it out there. Let me go over to the wall and see if
I'm in the lineup.
When you're coming up. He's always in the lineup unless he's not healthy. So he doesn't even check.
It's like in high school when the teacher puts the grades on the chalkboard.
Right.
All the kids run up to the chalkboard to see what their grades are. It's like, no, they know beforehand.
That's not this with Tatis. If he spoke with the media, let's say within the hour, and he was probably in the training room, let's say at 12:30 in the afternoon, these conversations have occurred. Mike Shildt's there. Fernando Tatis Jr. is there. AJ Preller is there. These conversations have occurred. So they're not like, hey, Fernando, wait until you see the lineup card. You might be surprised. You might not. I mean, they've had the conversation.
They have. And they're probably waiting until a final okay from medical.
Yeah, maybe.
Even though you don't really trust this medical staff that much. Just in the history of the Padres. I'm not saying these guys on this team this year, but just the history with Padres and injuries.
I don't distrust the medical staff. I distrust the way they've conveyed information. I don't think it has anything to do with the medical staff.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I'll take that back.
It's
I'll
like
take
the
that
way
back,
Preller or Shildty or whomever else has conveyed it.
Yeah. The way that they relay that to the public through the media, they are like rarely right on these things or rarely, truthful on these things. It's typical Padres when you hear Shildty on Wednesday say something, and then 2 days later, it's like,
the
what?
opposite?
Like complete opposite.
Yeah, it's not like if Cronenworth wasn't in the lineup today, but not on the IL, you'd be like, okay, that's reasonable. He needs another day. But this could be like a month, dude.
Oh,
easily. I mean, I don't know. It could be 10 days. It could be a month. It could be longer.
But if Shildty said this instead of what he said on Wednesday, if he said, look, he's sore, he's pretty sore, we don't know the full extent of what he's got, we're probably going to do some imaging or, some other tests. We'll find out more closer to, when we speak on Friday. And then if today, when they, put him on the IL, I wouldn't sit here and be like, what the hell were you talking about? Because you leave it open for things like this. I know he said in his press conference, well, we have, we reserve the right to change things. Okay, well then don't also go out and definitively say something that it's completely not. Like, oh, he's dealing with a cramp. It's not a cramp. Dude's got a non-displaced fractured rib.
Right.
And it just makes the fans go crazy. I've seen it in my timeline on social media. Everyone's like, why the hell can't this team either just like not say anything until the diagnosis or be somewhat truthful? And they'll just never do that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. It's a little odd, and we'll see what this lineup looks like. Listen, they're playing the Colorado Rockies for the next 3 days. It's April 11th. You don't have to have Fernando Tatis Jr. in there tonight. This isn't Game 5 of the NLDS. So you're right. This should be slow played with someone like Tatis. Hopefully he can avoid an IL stint, which he said he will. He said, no. Like, is there a possibility you go on the IL? No. All good. It was essentially what he just said. So hopefully they avoid the IL stint. If it's a day, it's a day. If it's 2 days, it's 2 days. The one thing that's odd, like I said with Kyle Newman, Jim, is the Padres are 9-17 against the Rockies over the last 2 years. They played them a lot in the first half last year when they weren't very good. And in 2023, the Padres just weren't very good. So they're 9-17 against the Rockies the last 2 years.
Is that good?
Isn't that crazy?
I did not expect that.
Back-to-back 100-loss seasons for Colorado.
They didn't get swept in Colorado, or did they get swept in Colorado when they lost that first?
I thought they got swept at home by Colorado last year.
They did. And then they also had that game in Colorado where
lead.
Shildty blew up on Dennis Lin for asking about Wandy Peralta. Remember that?
That was early in the year.
And then we just destroyed Shildty on air.
That was like late April last year, early May.
We were kind of still feeling things out with Shildty, what kind of manager he is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Right.
But hey, he wins. So again, like I said, be quirky and corny.
All right, on the other side, let's go down the farm for a second consecutive day because there's a lot of chihuahuas, El Paso chihuahuas, that are going to play for the Padres and already have played for the Padres here to begin 2025, including Tyler Wade, who was in AAA but has been recalled and is active now at Jake Cronenworth on the IL. So Tim Hagerty, play-by-play voice of the Padres AAA affiliate, the El Paso Chihuahuas. He will join us on the other side. Kevin Acee at 5 p.m. will give away Sesame Place tickets in the 4 o'clock hour. This is Jon and Jim.
and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and we're with you until 6 p.m. We're getting you ready for Padres and Rockies game 1 of a series down at Petco tonight. And great to catch up right now with Tim Hagerty back on the show. He is the voice of the AAA affiliate of the Padres, the El Paso Chihuahuas, and there's already been a lot of movement between AAA and the major leagues as the Padres are dealing with injuries. We just learned, obviously, Tim, that Jake Cronenworth has gone on the IL. Tyler Wade is back up. I know he had gotten off to a decent start this year in AAA. So, first of all, thanks for hopping on. Hope all is well. And let's talk about some of this movement. And what have you seen from Tyler Wade to start the year, who's back with the Padres right now?
Yeah, thank you for having me, John. I think the first thing is versatility. You mentioned Jake Cronenworth's injury. You mentioned Fernando Tatis Jr., maybe a little bit banged up. And Wade can play both. The past few nights in El Paso, he played second base, and then last night he played center field. The El Paso manager, Pete Zamora, has talked about that recently, the importance of outfield versatility. El Paso tonight is going to use its 4th center fielder in the last 4 games. And, for example, Padres fans will be interested to hear this, but Connor Joe has been playing some center field for the first time in his professional career for El Paso.
All right, so Connor Joe has been playing some center field. We saw Brett Sullivan, right, in left field?
That's right. Brett Sullivan's played left field. He's DHing tonight. He's played some third base and some catcher. El Paso must have the most versatile team in AAA because there's guys playing all over the place. Tirso Ornelas played 3 outfield spots in the same game the other night.
Were you surprised that Acee cleared waivers and he returned to the team and he's in El Paso now?
Yes, I was. And from people around this El Paso team, I was not the only one. I was sure he would go somewhere else. He's so young. He's so versatile. And we'll see how he responds to that. I think he probably was surprised as well. He was very pleasant to me in our first interaction. On a side note, he's tied with former Padres fan favorite Cody Decker for the most home runs in Chihuahua's history. So his next home run here will be a team record. But we'll see how he responds to that. There have been some AAA players over the years here that really use something like that as fuel. I remember in 2018, Franmil Reyes telling me that he was so stunned that none of the other 29 teams picked him in the Rule 5 draft when the Padres left him unprotected, that it was actually his mom that told him to stop pouting, use this as fuel. He came to El Paso and crushed it, and by May, he was in the major leagues. So maybe something similar will happen with Acee, and he'll find a new gear here.
Tim Hagerty, voice of the AAA affiliate of the Padres, the El Paso Chihuahuas, with us right now on Jon and Jim. What has gotten into Luis Campusano, who obviously, I'm sure, had hoped to make the major league roster out of camp, finished the year relegated to AAA last year, but he's had a very fast start offensively, right?
Yeah, he's hitting great, and as you guys know, when he came up through the minor leagues, that was his skill, was his offense. But the pitching coach here, Scott Mitchell, told me recently in Oklahoma City that he's doing a great job behind the plate. Ryan Bergert had 2 great starts, and Mitchell credited Campusano from really moving and calling for different pitches all around the strike zone. He considered that part of Bergert's success. And Luis is still in his mid-20s. Sometimes these guys rise so quickly. He played for the Padres briefly way back in 2020, so he's really been on the scene a long time. But he might have a lot of major league seasons still left in him.
Francis Pena is a name that Padres fans might keep an eye on here. How has he done so far, and what is he looking like for El Paso so far this season?
Yeah, he was coming back from some soreness, so he was a little bit of a late arrival. He did not play in El Paso's first 2 series, but he has joined the 3rd series. Recently had 2 innings in which he faced the minimum. 2 innings, just 1 hit allowed, got a double play ball. Tall, wiry, hard-throwing pitcher. He's somebody listed on the prospect rankings, and they tell me he has a lot of movement on his pitches, and I would not be surprised if he's someone that at some point makes his debut for San Diego.
Tim Hagerty with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I feel like over the years, Tim, I've asked you this so much, but in the PCL, you got to be careful looking at both pitching numbers, sometimes a lack of success, and then offensive numbers. Sometimes you see all the success, but a lot of it might have to do with elevation and other factors. How much does that go into it? Like when I look at some of these pitching numbers early on in the season, what are the indicators that the Padres are looking for beyond ERA when you see some of these elevated ERAs, but you're accustomed to seeing that across the PCL?
Yeah, you're exactly right. El Paso is about 3,800 feet in the air, so it's not quite like Albuquerque or Denver or even some real hitters parks like Las Vegas, but it certainly does favor the hitters. And as you described, most places that Chihuahuas go to in the Pacific Coast League have some kind of desert or elevation element. So my understanding is that the Padres, when evaluating AAA pitchers, are not focused on the ERA. What they really like to look at is the strikeouts versus the walks. And if you look at that, like Logan Gillespie last year, hardly walked anybody. And he was a reliever that would go between San Diego and El Paso. Even though at times last year his ERA wasn't pretty because, elevation doesn't affect your control. So I think the strikeouts and walks is important to look at for the pitchers. And likewise for the hitters. Some guys who've been brought up in recent years are players with high on-base percentages.
For the rest of the roster, we talked about the position players. We know Connor Joe and Luis Campusano, and asked about Francis Pena. But are there any players on this team that you could see making a trip to the big leagues this year if they have an opportunity?
Yeah, I think Trenton Brooks is a guy who made a good impression in spring training. He's off to a great start with the Chihuahuas as we speak here today on Friday. He hit a walk-off home run last night. And he's someone that was in the majors with the San Francisco Giants last year. He's a veteran type. And in recent years, we've seen that. Guys will go up and maybe fill in for a few weeks when there's a need. Pete Zamora, the manager here in El Paso, has noted that Brooks can play both first base and outfield. So again, to the versatility. So he's one. Clay Dungan's another very versatile player. He has yet to make his major league debut, but he's in center field for El Paso tonight. Came up as an infielder. The Padres got him in the Rule 5 draft, the minor league phase from Kansas City. And last year, despite hitting great for El Paso, the Padres actually sent him back to Double-A mid-season. And the reason was where he could learn to play the outfield. So now he can really play all over.
How has Stephen Kolek looked? Because he was fighting for a rotation spot. Obviously, that went to both Kyle Hart and Randy Vasquez. I know he's made a couple of starts so far. What have you seen from Stephen Kolek?
Yeah, he's actually going to pitch tonight here versus Las Vegas in El Paso. He was outstanding in a home game in El Paso, 5 shutout innings versus Salt Lake, the Angels affiliate. Then went on the road to, well, you mentioned elevation, to sea-level Oklahoma City. Actually, that was the one start that wasn't as good. The Dodgers AAA team hit him around there, but his first start was outstanding. He is using a lot of sliders, a lot of movement on both his fastball and his breaking balls. And he's already on the 40-man roster. He would be an easy call-up. And to me, he's someone that could be starting games if there's a need in San Diego.
Tim, we always appreciate it, man. Good to catch up and hope all is well with the AAA season about 2 weeks old. Of course, the Major League season as well. And again, all this movement already because of these injuries, whether it's Jackson Merrill or now Jake Cronenworth, and hopefully Fernando Tatis Jr. will avoid an IL stint. But appreciate you doing it, Tim, and we'll catch up with you throughout the course of the season. So thanks for doing it.
Sounds great. Thanks, John.
All right. Tim Hagerty, AAA voice of the El Paso Chihuahuas. You're welcome, Tim. Thanks for coming on my show.
I think he just was responding to just you saying.
Well, you missed it off the top. Because off the top, he's like, "Hey, John, thanks for having me on." Yeah, and then on the way out, he's like, "John, yeah, I appreciate you having me on."
What did you say? What did you ask him today?
He's been on with us for 5 years.
I know.
Jim. So I mean, and we have different voices theoretically.
But did you say, "Hey, you want to come on
my show?
My show today?"
Yeah, the show that I do.
What was the text?
You want to know what I texted Tim Hagerty today?
Do you want to come on Jon and Jim, or do you want to come on the show?
Hi, Tim. It's John Schaefer, and I hope all is well. Any chance you can join us before your game today at 2:30 or 3 Pacific to discuss El Paso's start to the year? Thanks as always. He said, no, but I could join you tomorrow. This was yesterday. And I say, yeah, tomorrow's terrific. Has 3. Thanks, Tim.
He knew my name. He goes,
thanks,
Brent.
Oh, wow.
He goes, thanks,
Brent. And he knows John. So maybe he thinks it's John and Brent on the radio.
Right? Yeah. Screw you.
Exactly, dude.
It's fine.
Well, listen, that roster, when I look at their roster and I see Campy and I see Rosario and I see the guys up now like Wadey and Oscar Gonzalez and Stephen Kolek, man, there's so many guys that have been up or will be up.
Yes.
Right? Or that we've seen before. Tom Cosgrove was there. He was just traded for cash considerations. I mean, the AAA roster is just littered with guys that you've either seen or you're going to see or yo-yo back and forth.
Are you surprised that Tyler Wade got the nod over like a Tirso or...
No, because I know who the manager is.
Exactly.
And I know he's versatile, which they love.
Mm-hmm.
So if they need flexibility, and we'll see here, man, because Cronenworth might be out for more than just 9 or 10 days.
And Wade, he could play in the infield.
Yes, of course. He could play. Shoot, according to the Padres, he can play all 9 positions probably.
I'm sure.
The way they treat this.
Sure one day if they're down 14-0, Tyler Wade will be on the mound.
We have this from Jake Cronenworth from AJ Cassavell. Speaking on his injury, Cronenworth learned of the fracture during an MRI on Thursday. So not an X-ray, an MRI. Said it was uncomfortable, but he didn't expect that result. Timeline for return is, quote unquote, this is from Jake, open-ended. Cronenworth said, but he's hoping it isn't all that long.
So it makes sense. Like we said,
they had to wait maybe on something.
You feel like it might be a cramp, and then you're going to take imaging. Obviously, you're on the road and you're in Sacramento in that AAA ballpark, so probably not anywhere to go.
No MRIs.
Yeah, no.
Could have an X-ray, but not an MRI.
And Shildty described it as cramping, even though it probably shouldn't have. But anyway, to each their own. And then you have the imaging, and they knew yesterday, and so then they just waited. And
you can't. The yesterday thing's fine. It's an off day for the Padres. They could still retroactively place him, although I haven't seen the move. They may or may not. They may expect him to be on the IL for more than 10 days, so maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah. But no, the move is fine. Although when the Padres tweeted out, they didn't say retroactive.
They didn't?
I don't believe they did they? Unless I wasn't paying attention. Did they? Maybe they did. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to that part. Okay, it might be retroactive. Retroactive to Wednesday.
April 9th.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, so it is retroactive, which means he's eligible to come off April 19th.
Right.
Because they went back to April 9th. I'm not going to lose too much. We had a conversation about this off air that we can continue on the other side. If it was going to be Jake or Fernando Tatis Jr., I mean, you can't have Fernando Tatis Jr. This has been the whole premise of every conversation we have. You just can't have him go on the IL. Jake can go on the IL, right? World's going to keep spinning.
I mean, you don't like it because he was playing really well.
Of course you don't like it, but Fernando, for me, would be a much more significant mental and really just impact. Like, it would be more significant.
Dude hit a home run with a cracked rib. It's impressive.
Jake.
I said, dude hit it. Yeah. Hit a home run with a cracked rib. That's pretty impressive.
Amazing.
I
the back of his card.
I would be like crying in a corner. You would be like, put me on my misery right now.
Just kill me.
Yeah, just literally kill me. Take it out.
Fractured rib, you're saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to sleep, breathe, eat.
Nothing.
I would just be taking like pills. I don't even know what the pills would be.
Vicodin.
Just make me feel better.
Yeah, give me all the drugs.
Right. I wouldn't do the radio show. I'd be on the radio show IL.
It would be a problem for me because, did I ever tell you this about myself? I can't swallow a pill.
Well, if you had to, you could. Yeah, no, you have. Yeah, they have like the gummy form.
No, not of like some hard stuff.
So you're telling me that if you've had to take a pill when you had like your kidney stone.
I might have taken the pill and crushed it up. And
you can't take a pill even with the plastic coating?
Oh, God, no.
What's wrong with you? You are like 6.
Ask Erin next time you see her about me taking pills because it's not pretty.
I'm not going to do that the next time I see Erin.
She always makes fun of me. She's like, what would you have to do if you had to take this pill? And she shows me the pills.
They're like huge. Those like horse pills.
And I'm like, I would literally kill myself.
Yeah,
I'm done. It would be the worst thing ever.
You go to the bar or something. Do you drink shots?
Not really.
Can you drink shots? I should rephrase that.
Why? Is it the same experience or something? Taking a pill or taking a shot?
Pretty much. You put the pill in your mouth, grab the water, and then just chase it down.
I'm sure he's tried. It's like,
let's just say that I have an awful gag reflex. Yes, pause. I get it.
Marking that.
All right, more on Jake Cronenworth being placed on the IL, and when the Padres lineup is out, we will share it with you.
We have a lineup, I believe.
All right, we'll share the lineup coming up next. Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports.
taking on the Colorado Rapids this weekend on the road in Denver. Neil Sika will call the match for MLS Season Pass. He'll join us at 3:30. The breaking news from Mike Shildty himself is he expects Fernando Tatis Jr. to be in the lineup tonight. The lineup has not been disclosed as of yet, but from the manager, his expectation is that Fernando Tatis Jr. will be in it tonight when the Padres open a series with the Colorado Rockies, and I would deem that to be pretty good news for Padres fans. Everything's great again.
That's a win.
Everything's good.
That is a win, John. That's what we call a win.
You're getting eviscerated.
Am I, though?
No, but I like the word eviscerated. Jim put on X, Shildty Wednesday. Croney, we feel like it's a cramp. We expect Croney to be back in the lineup Friday. 2 days later, non-displaced rib fracture, 10-day IL. Thumbs up emoji. And you've got like 18 replies to this. And there are a few people that are like, dude, team's 10-3. They didn't know the extent of the injury. Like, chill.
I mean, did I offer like a strong opinion of how the Padres need to tell us about every single injury that on every single player ever?
No, maybe on the radio more so than in that tweet.
On the radio, I just explained that this is how things work with the Padres. If you expect anything other than this, then you're going to be mistaken. We even said on Wednesday, like, I'm going to wait and see before I make any like, oh, he's going to be fine. Yep. Or did you hear Shildty? He says he expects him back in the lineup on Friday. Until I see him in the actual lineup, I'm not going to expect anything. That's exactly what I said.
Let me ask this. Is it a Padres thing or is it a professional sports thing? It's kind of like when people see players in the portal. Oh, my gosh, Aztecs have a player in the portal. Yeah, they all do. But you're so laser focused on your team, your city, that you think it's like a team-specific incident or issue. But is this happening with the Chicago Cubs or the Philadelphia Phillies?
Again, I think we're just so hyper-focused on the Padres that we feel like it's a Padres thing.
Definitely.
And because this has happened so many times where it's like the one of the things that comes first to my mind is a couple years ago, I think it was the Jace Tingler era, and he had a press conference and Adrian Morejon got hurt. You remember this?
I don't know if I do.
And they were like, yeah, we need to look at imaging. This was during the press conference. It was like,
we'll have it after the press conference.
Yeah, we'll have the imaging after the press conference.
And that was Tommy John.
And it was Tommy John, torn UCL. And it was just like, wait, what? Mike Clevenger won. We've signed Mike Clevenger to a 2-year deal. Tommy John surgery.
But I don't know if that one is a good example of like non-disclosing. I mean,
well, there's
maybe it is. No, Clevenger, they slow played. Like, oh yeah, he's going to pitch the postseason, and they pitched like one inning, and his arm fell off, and his velocity was like 80.
Joe Musgrove last year.
Yeah,
postseason. Remember, hurts his arm.
Yeah, I might be back.
Feel pretty good.
Right.
2 days later, Tommy John.
Right.
Now again,
yeah, I see.
It is what it is. I find it a little frustrating because it's like I have now created a wall whenever there's injuries with this team. And you're right, probably with every team, until I actually see them back out there or whatnot, I'm just really not going to listen to what they say about injuries until the, diagnosis is, 100% out there as far as what this player's got, if he's on the IL or they're back in the lineup or not.
Padres might be worse than other teams. It's possible. But if I was laser focused on the Orioles, they might be the same. If I had done 6 years straight of wrap-up shows related to the Orioles, I might have similar sentiments. Your point, I think, is a valid point. I'm not sure if it applies to the Padres or just to Major League Baseball in general. Listen, we said Wednesday, or maybe even yesterday, if one of the two is in the lineup, it's a minor win between Cronenworth and Tatis. Because we didn't necessarily expect both in the lineup. I think we both said we thought one would be in the lineup tonight out of Tatis and Cronenworth. Now, we didn't think Cronenworth would be on the IL for a month or whatever it's going to be. It's open-ended. So they've had some big losses this week. I mean, Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth in the same week. Those are some sizable losses for the Padres. We'll see how they overcome them moving forward. But those are big losses.
The Jake one, I think you can withstand more than if Tatis was the one that was going to have to deal with this type of injury for who knows how long.
Right.
Jake. Now, this is an interesting discussion with Jake now out of the lineup and on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
the thing that comes to your mind first is, all right, Jose Iglesias, plug and play, second base.
Right.
I don't think it's just that simple. There are other options.
Yep.
How would you feel about, and he's expressed it during the offseason, how he's a second baseman. Luis Arraez going back to second base.
I think there's some validity to it depending on what you're dealing with here, right? Because you're not just going to does Iglesias all of a sudden get every single game versus left or versus right? Now, he hit lefties and righties last year.
Correct.
So it's a possibility. He hasn't yet hit, but he's had no opportunities this year. I think he's 3 for 15 this year, so who cares? Small sample size. I wouldn't be surprised, knowing how Preller's operating around the organization, if they got quote-unquote creative and they moved some guys around, or if Arraez was back out there at second base. That wouldn't surprise me, no. And there's some validity to it in the short term. Like, you're not going to plug him in for 100 straight games.
No.
You know?
Now, defensively up the middle with Arraez and Cronenworth could be an adventure.
Arraez and not Cronenworth.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bogarts, my bad.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit of an adventure. Sometimes you deal with defensive deficiencies just to make the offense work.
But then you're like, who's your first baseman?
Sheets.
Okay, but only if the righty's on the mound.
Potentially, yes. Although maybe he's earning more playing time regardless, but I agree with that, yes. I do.
Or lefties out there, then you have Iglesias at second and Arraez at first.
Exactly.
And then your DH would be a combination of, like, I guess, Yuli Gurriel.
They might be you make some good points. I mean, they're probably dealing with this right now and putting this first lineup together.
Yeah.
Without Cronenworth. It'll be out at some point soon. I'm excited to see it, what it looks like. But I'm with you. Maybe Arraez gets more time in the field at second.
It's a bummer for Jake because he's playing so well. And, gets this cracked rib. I got to imagine that must be hell for a baseball player dealing with a cracked rib. Trying to swing a baseball bat. I mean,
no fun. No,
brutal.
thank you. All right, we're going to switch gears momentarily. Neil Sika on the call on Saturday night, tomorrow night, for STFC and the Colorado Rapids MLS Season Pass. He will join us next to preview the match. Stay with us, Jon and Jim.
Hi, I'm Nicole Donnelly, and for 34 years, I've owned
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start with the Padres. Jake Cronenworth has been placed on the 10-day IL with a non-displaced right rib fracture. Say that 3 times fast. Fernando Tatis Jr., good news there. He is in the lineup tonight for the Padres against the Rockies. 6:40 first pitch. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres. And looking at the leaderboard at Augusta, Justin Rose on top. He has an 8 under par through 2 rounds. Bryson DeChambeau, 7 under par. Rory McIlroy is 6 under par. And Scotty Scheffler is 5 under par after 2 rounds. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acee, Padres Insider, will join us at 5. We'll see that Padres lineup momentarily, but we switch gears because SDFC, of course, can be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760 tomorrow night. You can watch it on MLS Season Pass, Apple TV. Neil Sika will be on the call, and he's with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So, Neil, we appreciate you taking time. It's been fun to watch this start for San Diego FC. And one of the remarkable things here is they've had 10 different goal scorers already. So, from your perspective, what has it been like to watch this expansion club off to this start?
Boy, Jon, Jim, Double J, great to be with you guys. I think, you would take an expansion team and drop them into a pool full of mermaids, and this is what you'd have come out with the way that Mikey Varas has had this team playing. Not only the diversified portfolio of who's scoring, but the way they play. They press well, they're in the mid-block well, they defend well, they build out great. And I think this was really the heart and soul of how they put the philosophy into the roster and the composition of who they have, not only with Chucky Lozano and the designated player aspect, but the grit and the glue. The logo talks about the flow, but I think about the glue of this team. And there's a secret sauce, I think, through the years, if you've watched Major League Soccer. The guys from Scandinavia, Denmark, and Norway, and the honesty, the integrity in which they play, the effort, the work rate, that's commonly used, but the fact that they've got 5 or 6 of those guys and the affiliation with Nordsjælland, I think that's the underlying factor here of why they've gotten the leadership they've had off the field, on the field, the way they've played, the commitment in each and every game, and it's shown in the caliber of opponent they've beaten so far in the early season.
Would you put them in the upper category of like really good teams in MLS? How good are they, in your opinion, compared to the other good teams around the league?
I think they're a top 4 or 5 team in the West right now to stay, just because of the herky-jerky nature of how everyone in that conference has played so far. And I'd put them in the top 10 for sure. Now, are there going to be rough patches? Sure. And I think yesterday when we were talking to Mikey, not that the other shoe's going to drop, but you're going to have this swell of highs and lows in MLS. And this guy is so impressive just in terms of how he's had this cornucopia of experience, whether it be coaching the youth national teams, a stint with the national team, academies, all these phases of development for different type of players. I think that's the thing that's most impressive to me. He's ready to face any type of situation, and I think that's why they've also been so successful in hitting the ground running. But if you look at the West right now, there's 3 teams that stand out: San Diego, Vancouver, and what Vancouver's doing too in managing the Champions Cup. And then you've also got Minnesota, which is extremely impressive considering they don't want the ball at all. I mean, they've got 30% possession this year, but they're very deep. They defend well on that Christmas tree. I think those are the 3 teams right now that are the talking points that'll be the clubhouse leaders to midseason, and we'll see how things break down from there.
Neil Sika, MLS Season Pass, will be on the call tomorrow night. SDFC, the Colorado Rapids. Again, MLS Season Pass, Apple TV. How impressed have you been by Chucky Lozano when healthy? He's coming off a match in which he picked up his first goal of the season. He assisted, I believe, on the other 2. What are you seeing from Chucky out there in Major League Soccer?
Everyone wants to point to the DP and the goal contributions, right? I think that's first and foremost. He's got 4. Those are going to come. But I get the sense, and even talking to the San Diego brass, the willingness for him to defend in his own end, the runs that he's made. If you look at some of those runs that he made in the Seattle game to kind of set up the pass before the pass, or do the work. He's putting in the work. And I think that's the ability for one, the coaching staff and Mikey Varas to get the buy-in from him. And then for him to kind of carry that mantle of being the first DP, big DP in club history, to have an impact. And you could tell that even though he missed 2 or 3 games, he comes right back in and seamlessly, and they rip apart. I mean, they rip apart a Seattle team that everyone's expecting to eventually come around, and they've been choppy to begin, but you don't take anything away from the performance. So I think the buy-in for him, he's not a Sports Center type player. It just shows, of course, with the pedigree he's had, not only at the club level, but the international level. And I think he's the perfect fit for what San Diego's been trying to accomplish so far.
Being an expansion team, is difficult in many ways. How much credit does Mikey Varas get here for, the start of their season?
A ton. And I think asking him that, to the reality of if you're coaching a youth international team like you did with the U20s or even academy teams, it's a little bit of a different reality when you're managing a full set of pros on the regular. But I think his work under Luchi Gonzalez and having that, also with the shades of Greg Berhalter, and Greg's been one of the best in the business. He was obviously really successful at the club level with Columbus and in this league. And I think that's a big emphasis to why Mikey can pick the brain of not only him and a Luchi, but really everyone that he's been around to absorb and be ready for this moment. And he fits the profile too, right? He's a California guy, wife from San Diego, laid back, nothing phases him. I think not too high, not too low. And I think you give credit, of course, to the front office too, and Tyler Heaps and Mark Brizzanti and Tom Penn. And, there's a blueprint here, right? With the success, and not to channel everything from LAFC in 2018, but they found the formula. And I think the roster composition, like I said, going back with the players that they fit to find the profile, and there's some young talent in there that it's been, I'm sure San Diego fans have been delighted to watch in the early season. And I'm excited to see, after you knock off the top 4 teams in the West from last year, what's in store for the group.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Neil Sika is with us. We'll have the call on MLS Season Pass tomorrow night. Rapids and SDFC. There's been a lot of discussion in Major League Soccer about the schedule, whether it's going to switch to more of the fall-spring format that we see around the world with other top leagues in professional soccer. Do you see that? I know it's been tabled, so to speak, for now. Is it an inevitability in your belief in Major League Soccer? Like, is this coming at some point sooner rather than later, or not?
Maybe. I mean, this has been discussed just like promotion relegation for 10, 15 years. I think we're still well beyond going past the World Cup to see this turn, especially from the calendar. And I think there's a window there to maybe look at it in more detail, but some of these climates that you play in and flipping around to have the full-on schedule. I mean, I think of the Champions Cup games in these sub-zero temperatures, the Kansas City, Miami series. You don't have, the weather patterns have been so unpredictable now, more and more over the last 5 years, that I'm not a big believer in thinking that that's going to happen anytime soon, but they'll talk about it because obviously that draws interest and eyeballs. And if you want to get in line with the European calendar and everything else that follows suit with that. But I am not one to think that that's going to happen maybe in the time that I cover Major League Soccer. And I've been covering it for a long time, 15, 20 years. So we'll see. Maybe in another 15, 20 years, I think we'd see promotion relegation before we'd see the calendar flip.
In your opinion, what do you see SDFC needing still to maybe, make another jump? You already have them as one of your top 4 teams in the league, but what do they still need in your opinion?
I think at 9 that is going to score on a regular basis. Ingvartsen's been hurt. They've got a lot of these hybrid type players who can play within the line. So a tried and true center forward, especially when it comes time to these big games, who can hold the ball up and do a little bit more than the willing runners that they have so far. But everything I've liked has been steady in defense. And there's going to be a time too where CJ Dos Santos is going to be tested. He's got 9 games under his belt. They've scouted really well. He's been an understudy a lot, but we've even seen how big a difference a goalkeeper can make. Just look at the Galaxy this year in this up and down with their rotation. But they're small adjustments. I think the defense in front of Dos Santos can protect him, but I think a stable 9, can Ingvartsen stay healthy? They obviously just brought in Olaski, who's a hometown kid and more of a depth piece. Tomas Angel's got a lot of talent, but, does the production follow suit? He's still very young. So I think that's the area I would look in terms of need, and maybe that's something they address in the window if things take a little bit of a dip. But you can't complain with the fact that they've had 3 first-half goals in each of the 2 games.
That's pretty good.
13 goals overall. Yeah, exactly. And the times they're scoring them, they're momentum-turning goals late in halves to really put the fulcrum on the opposition. So there will be that moment when people will question, hey, maybe things have run dry a little bit. This is where I'd look. But that's kind of where I would target right now or think down the road. But right now, you roll with what you got, and it's pretty darn good.
Neil, we appreciate you taking time for us here in San Diego. We're looking forward to tomorrow night, again, the Colorado Rapids and San Diego FC from Colorado. And again, you can watch it on MLS Season Pass. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. So thank you, Neil. Have a good call, and hopefully
Neil.
we can do it again soon.
Double J, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you down the road.
We appreciate you. All right, acknowledgement, Jim, from Neil Sika. We have
That's all I
a
was
Padres
looking for.
lineup we will share with you on the other side. And yes, Fernando Tatis Jr. thankfully is in it. We'll also hear from Jake Cronenworth, as earlier today, he's been placed on the IL with a fractured rib. That's ahead, Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We're reacting to the news that Jake Cronenworth has been placed on the IL. We'll hear from Jake in a moment. The Padres lineup is out. Would you like to share that with our listeners here on San Diego Sports 760? Fernando Tatis Jr. is in it, as expected from Mike Shildty earlier this afternoon.
All right, so yeah, Toddy, he is he's leading off for the Padres. Luis Arraez, obviously, is hitting second. Manny Machado hitting third. Gavin Sheets is your cleanup hitter tonight, John, as the DH. Xander Bogaerts is at short, hitting fifth. Jose Iglesias is at second base, like we talked about. Jason Hayward in the lineup tonight in left field. Brendan Lockridge in center, and Elias Diaz behind the plate. Still not, it's not an awful lineup, but again, once you get past Machado, you're like,
Yeah, and now that you're right, we saw it Wednesday, and we're like, oh, no Tatis, no Merrill, no Cronenworth.
And it's still won.
Today, you get Tatis back in there, but no Merrill, no Cronenworth. And by the way, we don't know how long on Cronenworth, who goes on the IL. But it is the Rockies at home, and just figure it out is what I would say this weekend. Like, I don't have really any solution to making up for the absence of Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth, other than you're still taking on the Colorado Rockies, and you have Nick Pivetta on the mound, and you need to win this series because you're just better than them. That's the way I approach this heading in. Even with absences, they should beat the Rockies.
Now, if I read you this Rockies lineup, I want you to tell me how many players you can.
Okay.
And I don't have their first names. I just have their last names.
Let's hear the last names.
Veen is their leadoff hitter tonight.
Yeah, he's new.
He's in left field.
Veen.
Farmer.
Yeah. Kyle
Farmer. Tovar.
Yeah, Ezekiel
Tovar.
McMahon. Yeah. We know McMahon. Ryan. Yeah.
Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
Martini. My wife loves him.
Yeah. They're good.
I actually don't like martinis. Aaron loves, and I mean loves, a dirty martini.
Really?
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
his first name is Dirty.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's Nick.
Is it Nick?
It's Nick.
Okay. Yeah. Toglia.
Right. Michael.
Okay. Goodman is their catcher.
Goodman.
Hitting eighth.
Yeah, goody.
Goody two shoes.
Goodman.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Goodman's in there tonight.
And we know Mickey Moniak.
Yes. San Diegan, right?
So not the all-time who the hell is this lineup. There are players in there that we know.
Yeah, we knew like Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, Kyle Farmer, but we didn't know Chris Bryant, obviously. We didn't know Hunter Goodman.
Or Martini.
Or Nick Martini. But we do know Mickey Moniak. It's Zach Veen, by the way.
Oh, it's Zach?
Zach Veen, who is leading off. Yeah, again, this proves my point. Win the series. German Marquez has made like an appearance in the last 2 years because of Tommy John. He'll start tonight.
Of course.
The Padres are minus 235 tonight. Heavy favorites. More than 2-1 favorites tonight, even with the players on the IL.
And of course, German Marquez will go 7 shutty.
Longer.
He probably.
Yeah. He goes 8. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, their leadoff hitter, Veen. What was his first name?
I think we said Zach.
I already forgot
something like that.
He's hitting a whopping 167 on the year with a 481 OPS. So
yeah, but how many
bats? You can't lose to a guy named Veen.
You can't. Let me just see before I complete. He's 2 for 12.
Small sample size.
It's a very small sample size. No, again, Nick Pivetta, German Marquez at home. This has got to be a win, and this has to be a series win. And if you missed it earlier, this is the point I've been harping on for the last hour. Padres have been not average against the Rockies the last 2 years. They've been the worst team in baseball against the Rockies the last 2 years. They're 9-17 against Colorado, dating back to 2023. Nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near. So hopefully that changes this weekend.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But the good news is Toddy's back in that lineup. The bad news is Jake's out because of the rib fracture. And the rest of that lineup?
Yeah, I agree with that. You want to hear from Jake?
I would love to hear from Jake.
He has spoken with the media, so he can speak even with these fractured rib or
I
ribs.
wouldn't be able to speak. I'd be crying in a corner.
Yes, I'd be calling 911. But this was Jake Cronenworth earlier today with the media after being placed on the IL.
How are you feeling?
Physically or?
Yeah, or both.
I mean, it's frustrating, but happens.
When did you find out about the fracture?
Yesterday afternoon.
X-ray.
MRI.
Right. Did you have the feeling that might be the case coming back?
I don't know. I mean, it didn't feel great Sunday when it happened, even Monday, and then I think kind of just water over the boat on Tuesday, and kind of just tip of the iceberg.
When the core, obviously, for a baseball player is so hard. Typically, an injury will start to get a little bit better. When did you realize that this might be something more serious I have to truly deal with?
Well, it's not muscular. It's only ribs. So, no, I mean, I thought I could play through it and thought it was just a bruise, and happened to be something else.
People talk about toughness, but to go out there and play with a cracked rib and trying as much as you did, is that old hockey player mentality?
It's just kind of always who I've been. I've been hit a lot, and some are worse than others, but you always try to find a way to get through it. And this one just unfortunately took the wrong way.
What do you understand about your timeline?
Glad it's not our
open-ended, I guess. A lot of it's going to be hopefully pain tolerance. So, whatever they say the timeline is, hopefully earlier. Yeah, it's on less than 24 hours.
What have they said it is?
I'll let them answer that. So medically. So, I mean, hopefully I can come back as soon as possible. And it heals well. So, yeah.
It's just never a good time for an injury, but how discouraging it could happen right now when you guys are playing as well as you are, and when Merrill goes down as well.
I wouldn't say necessarily discouraging. I mean, I think discouraging would be at the end of the season. I think being only 13 games in the year and, hopefully only being out for a little bit of time and being able to finish the rest of the season is, something to look forward to. So.
Is there anything you can do in the meantime to keep timings, keep the arm fresh? Is where you have to completely shut down something like this?
No, I mean, we have tools and stuff that, obviously it's going to be kind of up to me depending on pain tolerance and how I can move and all that stuff. But no, we have tools and things that I can use to keep that going. So,
what's your level of discomfort now doing every day for you?
Sneezing's the worst.
Yeah. Is there like a rest period prescribed for you, or like
I said, I'll let the medical staff, let you guys know about that, or Shildty or whoever's going to answer those questions. So.
Just to get real deep in the weeds, do you feel more twisting, turning, or more like you said, sneezing, breathing? All of the above?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if anything, running probably hurt the worst. So even Sunday and Monday. So
no laughing, no squeezing. It'll be okay.
Laughing isn't bad, but sneezing, yeah, no.
So as Brent just pointed out to us, Jim would be dead.
Oh,
just sneezing, just every sneeze, call 911.
Every sneeze just put me 6 feet under.
Man,
that
you better not ever break a rib.
Well, I'm not really doing many activities that I would break a rib doing.
Well, what does that mean? People break ribs without nobody expects to break anything.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go and play like
baseball,
tackle football all of a sudden, or go out on a baseball field and say,
okay,
hey, bro, throw as hard as you can at my rib area.
Okay.
That's
fair.
If I run into a wall, which I'm prone to do at time to time, I don't think I'm going to have my arms up at the time and hit it at a perfect spot where my rib breaks.
How do they play football? Has now popped into my mind.
Well, they have pads, John.
Yeah, but they break things. There are dudes that play with broken ribs.
Oh, yeah. Guys play with broken stuff all the time.
Yeah. So how do they play football is my question.
They
with
play
a lot of
football with
pills.
A lot of pills and a lot
cortisone
of
shots.
Cortisone shots.
Okay.
Just numb it up. Go out there and just put on the pads and go hit somebody. Tape it up.
All right, Cronenworth. Now the question becomes, we'll ask Kevin later, although I don't know if I'll have more insight here. I'm not sure if Kevin's at Petco this afternoon or not. What is the timeline here? Because it's open-ended and he's on the 10-day IL, but that means nothing. Is it a 10-day stint? Is it a 45-day stint? Is it somewhere in between?
I truly think after listening to Jake there, this is going to be all up in the air.
It's going to be a little – when I hear that, it sounded like more than 10 days to me.
I think it's more than 10 days too. You got to heal that thing up. You got to, not rush back too quickly because there is a possibility
you can get hit again.
Not only get hit again, but the swing, right? That's going to hurt. Playing defense, like diving, that's going to hurt. I'm sure throwing because it's on his right side, that might hurt.
What's the Google say? How long does it take to recover? What's it called?
From a non-displaced rib
non-displaced. Here, this Google knows more than we do.
Google it.
Google, according to AI, 6 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Non-displaced rib fracture typically heals within 6 to 12 weeks for a healthy individual.
So that is, if that turns out to be the case, and we don't know the severity of the fracture, it could be a tiny one, could be a larger one. We don't know. That would be brutal. If you told me right now he's back in 3 weeks,
yeah, you're taking that probably.
Probably, I would absolutely
6
take
weeks, dude. Even the short end of if AI has any clue, like if it's 6 weeks, a long time.
That's a month and a half of your season.
Yeah, I mean that's 35
Almost.
games. That's 35 plus games.
Yeah,
that you'd be out. So that would be significant, and that's at 6. If it's 6 to 12, it could be a lot worse than that. So yeah, it's a concern. It's a real concern. We'll catch up with Kevin Acee on it in an hour.
I think the good thing is they have Jose Iglesias. Hopefully he can play like last year. Jose Iglesias hitting lefties and righties. And this is now a next man up type of mentality. Last year when Toddy went down, David Peralta did very well. And Donovan Solano did very well with other, players getting injured. So yeah, other guys are gonna have to step up.
This is going from next man up to next men up based on the last week with Merrill and now Cronenworth. All right, we'll get to the wrap on the other side. We're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place in the 4 o'clock hour. And Kevin Acee with the latest on these Padres injuries will join us at 5 right here on Jon and Jim.
We'll start with the Padres. Jake Cronenworth. He has landed on the 10-day IL with a fractured right rib. Tyler Wade is back on the Padres active roster. Padres and Rockies tonight at Petco Park, 6:40. First pitch. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup, hitting leadoff for the Padres. Nick Pivetta on the mound starting tonight against the Rockies. And looking at this Masters leaderboard after day 2 at Augusta, Justin Rose still leading the tournament, 8 under par. Bryson DeChambeau's at 7 under. Rory having a good day. He's at 6 under par, tied for third. And Scotty Scheffler, he is also 6 under par as well after shooting 2 under today. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
Obviously, the Padres have gotten off to this great start. The Rockies, it's deja vu all over again. They've gotten off to a terrible start. Padres opening a series downtown. To me, it's the health of the Padres that's the most important part of the weekend for fans heading into the series.
Exactly. If they can get Tatis and Cronenworth back in the series, that's good for me. Getting these two guys back and seeing them healthy back on the field, I think will give every Padres fan a big sigh of it.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim, here until 6. Later this hour, your opportunity to win a 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. So we'll give those away this hour at 5 p.m. Kevin Acee, the latest on Jake Cronenworth being placed on the IL, not just being placed on the IL. The question is now for how long. He's got this non-displaced rib fracture, whatever that means. Do we know what that means?
Yeah, it's I don't know.
That's so Jim.
It's a non-displaced rib fracture. What do you think what it means?
What does that mean, non-displaced?
That it's displaced from the actual rib,
but non-displaced. Ooh. You idiot. Let me see. A non-displaced rib fracture, also known as a simple or hairline fracture, occurs when a rib cracks or breaks, but the fractured segments remain in their normal position without significant displacement.
Yeah, see there? That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I was about to say that.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Common symptoms include pain.
Wow.
Especially when breathing.
Wow.
Oh, and I breathe a lot.
I do too.
Almost every day I've been breathing.
Usually
all the time.
The human race has to breathe to survive.
A lot of everything breathes, right?
Everybody breathes.
Yeah.
And they breathe what, John?
Air.
Oxygen.
Whatever. Same thing. What do you got, Brent?
I was going to say, they say while still a break, the fragments are not out of place, which is why they say it's displaced.
No, I got you. Okay.
Non-displaced.
Not okay. Well, Jake Cronenworth is not going to be in a Padres uniform anytime soon.
No.
And Jackson Merrill might be back at some point in the next, whatever it is now, 6 or so days when he can come off the IL to that hamstring.
Where's an update on him? Is there any update from
where's Mike Shildty
from Petco Park?
Shildty spoke with the media, but maybe all the attention was on Tatis and Cronenworth that Merrill wasn't, spoken of today.
Maybe they're just waiting. I don't know.
Waiting for what?
Until the day that he could come off the IL.
Oh, I got a development here from Mike Shildty and what he said today.
What's the development?
The development is that Darvish has played more aggressive, quote unquote, catch.
More aggressive catch.
So Darvish has played more aggressive catch about 2 weeks into the season. Still waiting to see Darvish on a mound in a Padres uniform. You're talking real injuries, dude. Darvish, Merrill, Cronenworth is how much money? Now that you got the new, that's a lot.
Well, look,
it's a lot.
Merrill's not making anything this year.
But you know what I mean? This is like some investments, though. Merrill investment, Darvish investment, Cronenworth investment.
But also Merrill's not making anything. Jake's making, 11 per?
That's a ton.
And
Darvish is making like 14 per.
16, 17.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money on the IL.
Well, at least it's not a contract that is like a $35 million contract or something along those lines.
35 a year.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, true. At least Tatis has avoided the IL for the time being.
The thing with Darvish, and we've talked about the injuries. That's another one where one day it's like, oh yeah, he's fine. And then he plays catch. And then all of a sudden they shut down him for elbow inflammation. Like the messaging a lot of times it surprises you, right? That's
anytime it's a pitcher, I just assume the worst.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not like, it's just going to be a day. There's no such thing as a day for a pitcher.
Never.
It's not always like a week.
When the word inflammation is involved in elbow, that's what it was, right?
I think that's, don't quote me on it.
That always screams, uh-oh.
Right.
That's more than just a little ouchie.
Well, again, then it was, we heard from some like, well, they might slow play it because he's 39 and they're not going to, hopefully they don't need him until later in the year.
What day was this, by the way, that they, that he got hurt? Does anybody know? You Darvish.
Oh, I mean, probably
'Cause we're looking at what, 3
ago?
weeks now?
Yeah,
Month
I
ago?
think, I think at least 3 weeks.
Okay.
Because the season's probably what, 2 weeks old? Or
Yes.
a little more?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks in.
And so, yeah, so it's more than 3 weeks. It wasn't the last 4 or 5 days of spring training, right? It was more like the last couple of weeks. So you're probably pushing a month, which means to ramp back up takes weeks, right? For every, that's not a quick process. That's not a 1 week process to ramp up. That's a weeks long process.
It's so funny. Remember in spring training, Schultz like, yeah, he played catch today. And then Kevin's like, he did not play catch today.
Did I miss that day?
You might.
I might. Yeah, I don't remember that.
I do.
Yeah, I wonder where I was. Maybe Dayton.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you were gone.
Yeah, I don't. Some of the stuff that happens in spring, you're just like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well,
like I hadn't thought about like, oh, did he play catch? Did he not? I just knew the second that they said he was going to miss his like turn in spring training, it meant he wasn't going to make the opening day roster because you got to be built up.
Yeah, and they were, coming off when talking about you Darvish as like he just needs a little rest.
Right.
Again, that to us doesn't sound like they need a little rest. When you say elbow inflammation, it's probably going to be a little while thing.
The one thing I would say, and Kevin joined us maybe Wednesday, and he'll join us again at 5 p.m., is Randy Vasquez has been really good for this team. It hasn't been perfect, but they've limited his workload. Like they want him going 5 innings, not 8. Yes, he hasn't been perfect with his command, but his overall numbers are good. We'll see on Kyle Hart, but a lot of teams have fifth starter issues over the course of a year. So your fifth starter is never going to be your number 2 starter. So my point is I think they can overcome the Darvish thing because of Pivetta and Vasquez. We'll see if a fifth starter emerges. Hopefully it's Kyle Hart, but if not, maybe it's someone like Stephen Kolek or someone else.
Right.
But I guess my point is I think they can overcome the Darvish thing. I wouldn't want to overcome it for a year, obviously, but I think they can overcome it hopefully for weeks on end as opposed to months on end.
Well, they're 10-3 without you, Darvish, so I think they're overcoming it.
Yeah, but I mean, 10-3 doesn't make a season.
No, but if you put together 10-3 stretches,
but they won't.
I know.
Unfortunately, they won't finish the season with a winning percentage of 10-3. Because that's an 800 winning percentage.
I understand that.
So they'll need them, but I guess my point is I don't think they need them until they need them.
You kind of just go like as cliche as it sounds. You just have to go day by day, and you hope that Randy Vasquez continues to pitch like he's pitching. Kyle Hart, on the other hand, probably more of a roller coaster guy, right? And then you need Dylan Cease, newly shaven Dylan Cease, to be Dylan Cease. Michael King's been really good. And then Nick Pivetta, hopefully his last start in Chicago was just a little speed bump.
Ouchie?
No, but just a little speed bump, and now he returns to form and pitches well tonight.
Dude, I would shave 2. I would shave 2 if I allowed 9 runs to the A's.
I'm shaving my head. I'm shaving my beard, my eyebrows.
He looks 9 years younger, maybe more. Dylan Cease
does not look like Dylan Cease.
He looks like a 20-year-old that has just broken into the major leagues. It's like the top prospect in the organization. But my guess is he shaved because of how poorly he pitched in Sacramento. And it's like a fresh start. That would be my guess because he could not have pitched worse the other day. So now you got the fresh start, cleanly shaven. I mean, that thing had gotten bushy. That beard, right?
Probably itchy too.
How do you shave that big of a beard? I've never had to shave a beard.
Well,
in my
here's
life.
the thing, John. They have these things called electric razors. So
yeah, you don't take an electric razor to that thing, do you?
100%. You don't.
What?
I know you use an actual razor on your face, correct?
I do.
Okay. I don't.
I also have an electric.
Okay. Now, the electric razor has blades on it, so you can like still shave. Like right here, I shaved my neck today.
It looks like it. Wait, but do you take? I'm serious. I'm looking at your beard right now. Can you take an electric brawn razor, foil razor, to that length hair on your face right now? It wouldn't hurt like heck.
Electric razor?
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't hurt because the hair's so long.
What are you talking about? If I used an electric razor on my face, that's to me more preferred because
because the razor would hurt.
Because the razor has an opportunity to cut yourself.
But Cease had like a huge beard.
My guess is he did this. Electric razor, shave the beard off. Very simple. Then go over it with shaving cream. Use maybe a handheld razor, and then do that.
I think what John is getting confused with is like, because I have like actual clippers that I cut my hair with and shave my beard with.
Right.
I think John's thinking of like the old school electric razor with like the silver like cover over the top.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, you can't do a big bushy beard like
That's
that.
what I'm
He's
saying.
talking more like
25,
clippers.
So what are you talking about? The one that like you put like
clippers.
Clippers.
Yeah.
Like when I go to the barber?
Kind of, yeah.
Dude, how do you not know about
I
this?
don't shave.
Yeah, you
can't,
do.
He can't grow.
I mean,
facial hair.
I don't grow a ton of facial hair. If
You
have,
can.
like, I mean, kind of.
Here's what I'm talking about. All right. Now this is all right. So just something like this: a beard trimmer.
Oh, a beard trimmer.
Like, look at that.
Yeah, I never bought
That's
one.
what I'm
That's
talking
very
about.
nice. All right.
And it has like the guards on it, and then you take the guards off, and then you can shave, not like it is with a hand razor, but you can trim everything up.
I'm learning something new. I've never shaved a beard. I've shaved, but I've never had a beard like you, and I've certainly never had a beard like Dylan Cease. I figure you have to like call someone to get that thing off your face.
No,
Dylan
it's very
Cease, I'm
easy.
serious.
I do in my life. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I could grow a beard.
You got to go bushy beard, dude.
And I've always wondered, and I kind of got close during COVID. I have a picture of me in COVID where I just didn't shave for like a long period of time. I'll put up during the break. Yeah. But I always kind of wanted to see what it would feel like to have a beard like Dylan Cease and then shave it off because it would feel so good. But my beard isn't really I don't know. I don't think I could grow a big beard and it feel good on my face. It would be really itchy probably. I don't know. I mean, whatever.
The Wrap is coming up next. Kevin Acee will join us at 5 p.m. It's Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports Traffic.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acee will join us at 5. We'll give away Sesame Place tickets around 4:45. Padres Rockies game 1 tonight. 6:40 is the first pitch time. Is that correct, Jim?
Like it is every night game at Petco. John.
Not every night game.
Not every night game?
Correct.
There might be one or two.
There's those 5:40s in there. There's those Fox games.
How about this?
There's those
every weekday game.
Most are at 6:40. I agree.
Weekend, you could throw a 5:40 in there. 4 o'clock for Sunday Night Baseball.
We were just showing each other pictures for whatever. Okay, because my whole shaving thing that I got wrong, you'll now admit, we were thinking about different razors. I was thinking about a true, like you said, either the 3-circle razor to your face, not on a beard, but like when you shave, or a Braun metal foil razor.
Yeah, no.
You're talking something. You're talking clippers.
Essentially, yeah, but it's like a beard trimmer electric razor that is easy to use for long beards.
But we're looking at photos of each other from during COVID. They're so ridiculous. First of all, look at Jones. You will. I mean, you've only seen him a few times in person.
Great
Look
for
at
radio.
Jones.
What is that?
During COVID, he looks so bizarre. But remember that 6-month period of time though, where no one got a haircut?
No. I mean, yes, I do, but
because nobody was really
did.
able to get a haircut, at least in California, in the summer of 2020.
Such a weird.
We all
time.
looked like idiots, is my point.
Yeah,
right.
And talking about growing a beard out like Dylan Cease, that was the closest I got because that was a true who cares time in our lives and in this world where it's like nobody's getting haircuts and you just grow out that beard, grow out that hair. And you kind of look like Dylan Cease, yeah. I kind of look like Dylan Cease,
basically.
But it's just, man, that's almost 5 years ago. It's 5 years ago now.
Yeah, 5 years because it was Jones's birthday in March, so it's been over 5 years since everything was shut down. You're right. All right, let's get to the wrap. We've got Trainwreck Radio ahead. We have Kevin Acee at 5 p.m. So let's get to it.
It's time for the wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Can the Padres overcome the injuries to Jake Cronenworth and Jackson Merrill?
Yes, they can. It's not like Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Luis Ariz, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Robert Suarez, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Stroud are all injured too. That
would be bad.
That would be very bad. They have talent. They're going to be relatively fine. Other guys have to step up, obviously. The stars have to continue to play like stars.
Mm-hmm.
Manny's played really well to start the season. Xander's played really well to start the season. Luis Ariz, remember when everyone said he couldn't hit? Oh, yeah, he's fine now. Tatis is back. Hopefully he can, not have whatever was bothering him a couple days ago affect him at all, and he continues to stay hot. So, yeah, they're going to be – I'm fine with what they have right now. It's 13 games into the season. They're going to be okay. I just hope that the Merrill injury doesn't linger, and Jake will just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I just hope they don't add to the list in the short term because, the Darvish, Merrill, Cronenworth, it does seem like that's a good amount. You wouldn't want to add to it. I guess they are fortunate here where Tatis not only avoids the IL, but is back in the starting lineup and leading off here tonight for the Padres, so that is encouraging. But yes, it can be overcome, especially in the short term, but they don't want to take on more injuries, at least right now. Next question.
Who's going to win the Masters?
Well, look, Rory had a fantastic day after his, kind of tripping over himself at the end of his round yesterday on Thursday, where he was 4 under, heading to 15. He doubles there, and he finishes even for the day yesterday. He had a 6 under round today, John. I think that's
pretty darn good, right?
As far as top of the leaderboard goes, that was the best day at Augusta for the top of the leaderboard. Bryson DeChambeau's up there. I still am going to stay with my pick, which is Rory, and I'm still going to continue to say, if not now, when. This is his time. I think today was a huge step in getting there to the career Grand Slam, to finally get over that hump, finally winning a green jacket. The big question now is, can he get to Sunday within striking distance? I think he can. And if he does get to Sunday within striking distance, or hell, if he finds his way into the final pairing on Sunday at the Masters,
Does he collapse?
Right. Does he collapse like he has before? Or is he going to finally take that leap and win and get the career Grand Slam?
By the way, shout out Xander Schauffele. Very good day. 3 under par to get to 2 under, tied for 17th, but not necessarily in the picture to win. I'll stick with Scotty Scheffler, who is 5 under and tied for 5th right now. He's only 3 shots off Justin Rose. So Scotty Scheffler is right there. Absolutely. Rory is right there. Bryson DeChambeau's 1 shot off the pace. I'll stick with Scotty Scheffler heading into the weekend. 3 shots back heading into moving day.
And just to update, the cut line was at +2. Unfortunately, Justin Hastings, San Diego State senior, is not going to make the weekend. He shot even par today, which is good.
He's the low amateur, but he didn't make the cut, so you won't qualify. He is the low amateur in the tournament, but will not technically qualify for it.
Real
He's
quick,
going to make the cut.
How do the amateurs just get invites, or they have to win like an invitational to get in, or how does that work?
He won a couple of huge events to put himself in this position, but he is the lowest amateur, but will not get that honor because you do have to make the cut. This has happened a number of times, by the way, over the years. Someone looked it up. I think 3 of the last 10 years, the amateur didn't make the cut, so it's not always a guarantee. But he had a nice couple of days to finish +4, the best score for any amateur.
Some notable names that will not make the weekend at Augusta. Phil Mickelson, he's +5. Brooks Koepka shot +3 today. He's at +5. He's missing the cut. Dustin Johnson finished +3. So Sergio, Freddie Couples, obviously. I mean, Tony Finau, some big names there that did not make the cut.
Nick Dunlap bounced back from his 90 yesterday to shoot a 71, but will not make the cut at +17.
Good for him. Honestly,
he bounced back from his 90.
If that were me,
you wouldn't be alive for your Friday round.
No, if I shot a 90 in my opening round at Augusta and I came back day 2 and I shot a 1 under par.
Yeah, how do you do that? You improved 19 strokes in one day at Augusta?
That's
a nice improvement.
That's incredible.
That really is.
That's like honestly, I would take that as a win. Seriously, I'm not even kidding.
I know.
For me personally, I would be like, that's a win for me.
If you eliminate Thursday, the guy's like top 10 in this event right now.
Yeah,
after a -1.
Just eliminate all the first 18 holes.
Is this the first ever wrap that we're going to continue on the other side of a break?
Probably.
Let's do that. We'll continue the wrap on the other side of the break. We'll give away Sesame Place tickets coming up later this hour, and then Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 5 p.m. This is Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores, Padres, Rockies. They start a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park, 6:40 first pitch. Fernando Tatis Jr. is in the lineup today. He is hitting leadoff for the Padres. Bad news, though, Jake Cronenworth going on the 10-day IL with a fractured rib. Tyler Wade has been recalled to the active roster. And looking at the Masters leaderboard after round number 2 at Augusta, Justin Rose leads the tournament 8 under par. Bryson DeChambeau's at 7 under par. Rory had a good day. He's at 6 under par. And Scotty Scheffler also is at, Scotty Scheffler is now at 5 under par. And tomorrow night, SDFC takes on Colorado on the road. 6:30 kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. This update's been brought to you by Staples.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Your chance to win Sesame Place tickets coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll let you know how to win those tickets. We've got a 4-pack to give away. And Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Now, for the first time in show history.
I think we've done it before.
There's no way we've ever done a wrap over 2 segments. Brent,
Yes,
you be the arbiter.
No.
Thank
What?
you. No, I don't.
We've postponed it like 6 segments before, but we've never split it.
We sometimes maybe just do 3 questions.
Yeah,
or
we might drop a question occasionally.
I've thought we've done multiple segments before.
But go back and listen to every show.
I
See
will.
if you can find the one where it happened.
Okay. I listened to almost 1,000 shows.
Is it that many? It's 3.5 years almost.
It's about that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a couple hundred a year. Maybe 600-700.
Yeah.
800.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shows.
Yeah. There's been a good amount.
Yeah. What was your favorite on this final day?
Show number 372.
All right. Can we get to the open again? Let's get to the. Do you want to get to it or no? No open. Just the music.
Do you want the whole thing or the music?
Just the music.
Just play music that we can't put on a podcast.
Can you put this on a podcast?
Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah. Free play.
Yeah. All right, Brent, next question.
Is this a must-win game tonight for the
Why are we doing this? Why do we continue it if this is one of the questions? This is so dumb.
Because you put the other day is it a must-win series for the Padres. So I
And
went
then
up
you
to
shot
you.
that down.
I went up to you and I put, is this a must-win game for the Padres?
And yes, it is, obviously. Minus 300 favorites or 230
Can't lose
favorites.
to the last place Rockies.
They could, but
They
hopefully
very
they
well
don't. Again, we referenced this a few times today. They're 9-17 against the Rockies the last 2 years, the Padres. That's amazing. 9-17 against the Rockies the last 2 years. So
What the-
it's a must win. Because of that, it's a must win. It's not a must win. Next question.
No.
baseball's biggest rivalry? Is Dylan Cease a top 10 pitcher in baseball?
Well, considering the fact that he finished 4th in Cy Young voting last year in the National League, yes.
Well, the reason it's on there is
because he has an almost 8 ERA this season.
Well, not just that, but ESPN put out a is Dylan Cease a top 10 pitcher in baseball article. And he comes in at number 10. You want the top 10?
Give me the top 10.
Tariq Skubal, Detroit. Paul Skeens is the second best pitcher in baseball per ESPN.
Okay.
Zach Wheeler, Philly. Garrett Crochet, Boston. Chris Sale, Atlanta. Framber Valdez, Houston. Now, after that, we have tier 2 aces. So there's 6 tier 1. Cease does not make the list. Cole Reagans with the Royals. Logan Gilbert with the Mariners. Corbin Burns with the Diamondbacks. Then 10th, Dylan Cease with the Padres. Is that fair?
If Dylan Cease is on, yeah, absolutely fair. That's just the thing with Cease.
Yeah.
You know, he is, and Kevin said the other day, kind of like the right-handed Blake Snell. I would put Blake Snell in more of the category of very annoying to watch at times.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like Dylan Cease. I mean, the other day, that was awful to watch, but we haven't seen that before from Dylan Cease. We saw Blake Snell closer to that multiple times in his 10 years of Padre. And he just was so annoying to watch. I did not like watching him pitch.
I agree.
Dylan Cease, when he's on, yeah, absolutely top 10 pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm seeing a photo right now on field from Petco Park that Marty posted of Sheil Seidler with AJ Preller and one of her children as well. That's all. It's just a photo of Sheil Seidler back at Petco Park with AJ Preller on field. She has ongoing litigation against the Padres ownership group, but Again, on field today, wearing a Padres hat and at Petco Park. That was a significant storyline heading into the season. That has not gotten much talk at all. You wonder where that lawsuit stands, what impact it may or may not have on the Padres. But Shield is at the ballpark there today. I think that would be a good vibe to have Shield Seidler in the building.
But I thought she rarely showed up to the ballpark, John.
Who said that? She did?
Not her.
Was that in the back and forth between the two sides that she doesn't show up?
No, I was just, Matt Seidler was the one that was attacking her.
Gotcha.
Rarely did we see.
I thought she was the one that said, rarely do we see Jon Seidler at the ballpark.
No, it was Matt, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, maybe.
Talking about Shield.
Okay. I don't know how that ends. I don't know if something's playing out right now that might just end it and there's be some type of settlement or agreement that plays out, or if she's actually seeking full control of the team. Like, is that where we are? That she's seeking full control of the team still? I guess. I mean, she had a lawsuit that started, it was in 2025. It was in January of this year. She filed a lawsuit.
Her X handle, John, still reads San Diego Padres majority owner.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that lawsuit's obviously active. We talked about this the day it came out, I think, with the author from Sportico. Like, some of these things are drawn out for years in sports, these ownership like squabbles or spats. Some of them lead to sales. That's quieted down with the Padres, right? You've seen Jon Seidler spend here this offseason a little bit, Pivetta, now Merrill with the extension. But I don't know. I don't know if there's like another shoe to drop with that situation or not.
As we speculated, it's still the biggest story with this team as far as what happens with that lawsuit. But like we mentioned, when the season starts, it becomes truthfully back page until there's something significant, which puts it towards the front.
Right.
And right now, there's nothing significant to talk about that I've seen.
No, I agree.
And it is now full focus on, the on-field team and what they're doing.
Especially the start. We said from day one, like if the Padres play the elixir for any of this Jon Seidler narrative, if it was negative this offseason, by the way, a lot of it was, the elixir was always going to be winning. And yes, it's only been 13 games, but they've won and they've spent these 13 days. This Merrill extension was a pretty significant step for the Padres organization and the Jon Seidler ownership group. So yeah, if they win, everything's going to be great. Just like what we always say with Mike Schild, it's going to be great if they win, whatever he says. Same thing with Jon Seidler. If they win, I think his tenure is going to be seen as a positive one. So let's hope that continues, including this weekend against the Colorado Rockies. 6-game homestand kicking off tonight. Rockies, Cubs for the Padres. If you missed it earlier, Jake Cronenworth is on the IL. He has a rib fracture. His status moving forward unknown beyond the 10-day IL stint. We know he's missing at least 10 days. It sounds like, Jim, it could be longer than that, obviously.
By the way, with Shield, I wonder if she's allowed in the owner's box.
I have no idea.
Where's she going to sit tonight?
I'm sure she has some acquaintances that can.
Oh, I know she does.
Yeah.
But
so, I'm sure there's some tickets. It's a good question, though.
Is Jon Seidler there?
It's a very good question.
Is Matt Seidler there?
But they might be in the owner box. She might be in the seating bowl.
I have many questions about this.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Which one of the Seidler brothers are there? Is Tom Seidler, who we've seen a lot of, is he going to be with Shield or going to be with his brothers if he's there at all?
Has Tom Seidler sided with Shield since this litigation publicly?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything or heard anything from his represent.
Right.
But
I haven't seen anything on that.
I'm curious. Where's Shield going to sit tonight?
Probably have good seats.
Is she going to be in the owner's box? Is she going to be down by the dugout?
Right.
Is she going to be in the club level? Is she going to sit with AJ in his suite?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
She's going to join the broadcast on Padres.tv in the third.
The rightful majority owner.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got, Brian?
I was going to say, maybe it'll be like that Brady Bunch when Greg and Marcia had to split the attic and they just put a sheet in between it. They'll just put a sheet in between the owner's box and they'll split it.
Do.
Yep.
Hey, here's the
mature way to handle things.
That is interesting. Who knows? Maybe she's just there for the afternoon. Says hi to some of the guys. Take in BP. Head out for the evening. Yeah, there's some questions. There's some questions there. It'll be interesting to see how that is resolved. And if it's resolved anytime soon.
I need to see a picture of I need some investigating reporting down there.
What do you like? What? Like, has something been solved or resolved?
No, just the simple: is John Seidler there? Is Matt Seidler there? Where's Shields sitting? Where are the Seidler brothers at? I need to know like their proximity to each other.
It's a good question. I mean, they might not be anywhere near each other because, well, it's a big ballpark.
It's a big ballpark, but there's only like one owner's box, and that's right, club level underneath the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
Now there is also AJ's box, which is near. It's in the press box area, and you can go in. It's not AJ's box per se,
Right.
but Grupner and and AJ, like they might be in there a couple times, not together, but
they're not in there together.
No.
Are they having litigation?
Oh,
okay, interesting. I'm sure she's got a pretty good ticket hookup. Would be my guess.
I know that, John. That's not my like question.
She won't be in the owner's suite.
Okay.
Don't you agree?
It would be something though if she's sitting next to John Seidler.
Yeah, I don't. Well, then it's been resolved.
Right?
I don't think you're sitting next to each other if it hasn't been resolved, would be my guess. All right, call right now if you want a free 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place. This prize is valued at hundreds of dollars. We have a free 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place right here in San Diego. The first 2 callers will be our contestants for trivia. You need to call 877-767-4760 right now if you want to play for a free 4-pack of tickets to Sesame Place San Diego. Again, the number to call, 877-767-4760. Call right now. And again, the first 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. We'll give those away on the other side. Then Kevin Acee will join us at 5. But again, the number, 877-767-4760 if you want those free Sesame Place 4-pack of tickets. Call right now, Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports.
San Diego Sports 760. Kevin Acee will join us at 5 p.m. with much more on Jake Cronenworth being placed on the IL. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup tonight. He will lead off for the Padres against the Rockies here at Petco. So Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 5 p.m. But again, no Jake Cronenworth. Tyler Wade is back from AAA. We knew he'd be back. We didn't even know if he'd be in the organization, but he clears waivers, and now he's back with the San Diego Padres.
He's like a cockroach. He just doesn't die.
And honestly, now that he's up, and if this Cronenworth thing is a few weeks, and if he kind of earns a role, they'll find a way to keep him up. Even when Cronenworth comes back, they'll just find a way. He could be up for a good portion of the year.
Yeah.
Just because it's Tyler Wade and they know who he is.
Yeah. I thinking about it, I'm sure he's happy and good for him. But when you get DFA'd and then nobody else wants to pick you up, and then you just are shipped back to El Paso, I don't know. That's got to feel kind of weird, right?
Yeah, probably a little bit.
It's like they DFA'd you,
right?
And no one else wanted you,
and then that is weird.
Now the Eggy thing is also weird because they DFA'd him, but they couldn't find a place for him because they were trying to trade him.
Right, and then he cleared.
Too.
And he's still down in AAA. At least Tyler Wade's back in the big leagues. So also, that ends well.
Tyler Wade has him and Shildty are best buddies.
Boys.
So there's a reason why Tyler Wade's back.
I say for Wade, it all worked out because I think he wanted to still be here anyways.
Probably.
So, it might have just been a confidence boost just because, I went through this, but
now I'm back in the big leagues.
I'm where I wanted to be all along.
And like we said with Shill, if he's up all year, you're getting 5+ months of service time. It's possible. He could be up for the next 5 months.
Probably.
Tyler Wade and make a good amount of money.
Probably do exactly what he did last year, which was a whole bunch of nothing.
But play multiple positions and bunt and run.
And then you got Shildty saying how important he was to this team, how much he did for the team.
Exactly. All right. Kevin Acee at 5 p.m. I was about to say Tyler Wade. Kevin will join us in 10 minutes right now. Let's get to this.
Greetings.
Here we go.
Time for Team Jon versus Team Jim.
You want me to play?
3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Greg and we have Sammer. Greg, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Going with Jon.
All right, Greg and Jon.
Now, Sammer, is that your real name?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Cool name.
You get Jim as your partner, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Brent, what's the question today?
Can we call you Jimmer? Sammer and Jimmer?
Jimmer for that. There you go.
All right, guys. Earlier we were talking about how the Masters are currently underway. Did you know that there have been 8 golfers that have won the Masters at least 3 or more times? Today's question: name any of those 8 golfers that have won at least 3 Masters.
All right. Sammer, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
No, I'm going to start with San Diego's own Phil Mickelson.
Phil Mickelson. There you go.
Got 3.
It's my first guess, but
okay.
Good job. Greg, you're up. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's try Tiger.
Let's try Tiger.
Yes.
He's on the list.
Okay.
Sammer, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll say the legend Jack Nicklaus.
Jack Nicklaus. There you go. Good job.
Okay.
Greg, you're up. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Jon.
Good luck, Jon.
Okay, so Tiger's off the board.
Yep.
Jack.
Yep.
And who else?
Phil.
I mean, you know me, dude. What about this? Might be really stupid what I'm about to say, or might be really smart. Does this even predate the Masters? Ben Hogan.
Ben Hogan.
Ben Hogan is my guy. I have no clue.
Ben Hogan. Do you take that, Greg?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh my gosh!
Only has 2.
You're an
Oh,
idiot.
that's not that bad.
Not
He has
bad.
2.
Sammer, you can.
I don't know golf history.
Yeah, I know. Sammer, you could walk off here with the correct answer.
At least he didn't say Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, yeah. What do you got, Sammer?
I'm going to say another legend about Palmer, Arnold Palmer.
Oh,
Arnold Palmer.
I should have said that. That's way better.
Yeah, that was
right.
That was going to be my lifeline there. Good job, Sammer. Congratulations.
I like those drinks too.
Great
Otherwise,
drinks.
yeah, I don't know who else I like. I don't know.
Gary Player on that? No.
Yes, he is.
Oh, Gary
Look
Player.
at
Yeah,
you,
Gary Player.
Jim.
Yeah, Gary Player. As far as the new generation goes,
It's only 3 you're missing.
Scotty doesn't have 3 yet, right?
It's 2, I think.
He's got 2?
Does he have 2?
He doesn't have 3.
Okay.
Okay. Missing something here that I'm like. Who are we missing, Brent?
All right. Jack's got the most,
Yeah.
6. Tiger's got 5. Arnold Palmer has 4. I think it's Jimmy DeMerit. Is how you
Okay.
say it, I think. He's got 3. He played in like the 40s and 50s. Sam Snead has 3.
Yeah.
Gary Player has 3. Nick Faldo has 3.
Faldo.
And then Phil.
But Faldo, too. Those are different. They both. Combine them, they have 6.
I know.
All right, so that's some good golf names.
Yes, it is, John.
Now, wait, does Scheffler, though, have 2? Because could he earn his 3rd already?
Yeah, he's got 2.
Yeah, he's got multiple.
Scheffler have 3 over. Dude, that's unbelievable. How many majors does he have?
Good question. I want to say
3,
like
4?
I want to no. I want to say more than that.
Come on, man. Majors. Scotty Scheffler majors. He's 28 years old. He's won 2 majors, dude. The Masters, 2022 and 2024.
As I said, he's won 2, John.
That's pretty good, though. If you win 3 Masters by the age of 28,
that's pretty
that
good.
Would be unbelievable
Very
if he's
good.
able to do that. Okay, so Kevin's going to join us in a few minutes. Here with more on the Padres getting set to open the series against the Rockies tonight. We gave you the lineup. Tatis is back in it. Jake Cronenworth is out of it because of this rib injury. The Tatis thing was kind of weird this afternoon. He's like, I don't know if I'm in it or not. Shildty confirmed, yeah, like he's going to be in the lineup.
They haven't told me. Okay.
Right. So Tati's back in. I'm expecting Tatis to look like Tatis if he's back in the starting lineup.
I hope so. I hope there's not like any restrictions on him. Just like, hey,
Yeah.
you're good. Go play.
Yeah, like I want to see him run. It ran really well in the bases the first 2 weeks.
But won't you be kind of like holding your breath a little bit every swing he has?
That first swing.
You're like, oh,
well, there was the whole year he had to have 2 hands on the bat because of the shoulder.
2 hands, couldn't slide head first.
Right.
Barely ran it all on the bases.
And then for 2 weeks this year, he's like, I just can do whatever I
Screw
want.
it, YOLO.
And it was pretty good. He was hitting for power, stealing bases.
It's like you give the guy the ultimate green light, and then he's injured in the first 2 weeks.
That's the thing. Yeah, that is a good point. So, like, is he running less? Does he have those Tatis rules we talked about 3 years ago? It's just like you have to have 2 hands on the bat. You can't steal bases. You need to be careful out there. Right. And we'll find out when we see him tonight at 6:40. All right, we will take a timeout. We've got a whole nother hour for you, including our conversation with Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. Padres have the best record in baseball, 10-3 overall. They're taking on a team that is tied for the worst record in the majors right now in the Colorado Rockies.
Must-win game.
Jim has pegged it as a must-win game.
Kidding.
Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup. The latest on Jake Cronenworth and Jackson Merrill and Yu Darvish and more with Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. He'll join us next to kick off hour 4 right here on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start with Padres news. Jake Cronenworth going on the 10-day IL with a non-displaced rib fracture. Fernando Tatis Jr., though, is in the lineup tonight, hitting leadoff for the Padres. 6:40 first pitch as the Padres start a 3-game series with the Rockies. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Pods. Looking at the Masters leaderboard after round 2 at Augusta. Justin Rose leads the tournament right now at 8 under par. Bryson DeChambeau is at 7 under par. Rory McIlroy is 6 under par. And Scotty Scheffler, 5 under par. Justin Hastings, the San Diego State senior golfer, missed the cut today. He shot even, finished +4. He was the low amateur, but he did not make the cut for the weekend. And SDFC takes on Colorado tomorrow night. 6:30 kickoff, 6 p.m. pregame. Listen to the match right here on San Diego Sports 760. This update's been brought to you by Staples.
Kevin Acee on San Diego Sports 760. Brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place.
All right, great to catch up as always with Kevin Acee right here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Padres Rockies game 1 tonight at 6:40. And other than the great starts of the year on field, the talk has been about the health, right, of the Padres. Jake Cronenworth, we learned today, Kevin, has been placed on the IL with this rib fracture. Is there any feel for the amount of time that this could take to get Jake back onto the field for the Padres? And thanks as always for hopping on.
Almost certainly longer than the 10 days, and it could be a month. The good news is non-displaced, great. Remember with that, it's the non is good on that. So okay, but yeah, like 3-4 weeks. Everybody heals a little bit differently, but that's kind of historically what it is. And so he's eligible to come back, I think, next Saturday. But that won't happen.
So how do you expect them to weather this? Obviously, Jose Iglesias, nice to have him. He's in the lineup tonight at second base. I know Luis Arraez mentioned in the offseason and spring training how, he's a second baseman, right? Are they potentially planning on mixing things up here? Whoever takes the, bull by the horn, so to speak, or what's their plan going forward while Jake's out?
At this point, I mean, Mike Schultz stopped short of saying no to Arraez, but, you learn to sort of understand when he's saying something that he's not actually saying, and it does not seem that that's going to be the case. I mean, Jose Iglesias is so good in the field. Now, can he hit right-handers? Can he hit it all? I mean, that's what he's got to do, right? But, he is so good in the field, there is just no reason to move Arraez over. So, got to see how he hits. You have Tyler Wade up. Probably he's left-handed. I'm assuming that Tyler Wade is up instead of Eggy Rosario because not only they probably given Eggy some time in the outfield, and I was working on something else. I wasn't here to kind of look into this, but also, Tyler gives them a left-handed bat. And so I assume he's going to get some shots there. I assume Tyler will also get some play in center field, depending on how long Jackson Merrill is out. So right now, that is kind of what it looks like. But, these guys could surprise us, I guess.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. They could absolutely surprise us. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read so much of this team, and I don't have it in front of me. Did you write at some point in the last day, 2, 3, and maybe you forget too because you write so much. Did you write that Tatis has been dealing with the shoulder? Like, was he dealing with something before what we saw play out on Tuesday with the awkward slide at third and then the awkward swing? Or does it stem from that?
He said that there was one time when he was working out, but it had never been in the field. I am not clear when that one time was. Okay. But I think what gave you hope, and obviously we never know with the initial injury prognosis that is given, but what gave you hope was that he took a swing right after he winced on that one in his second at bat on Tuesday, and that there was no visible sign, and he said it didn't hurt. And then he took another swing and he flied out in his final at bat, and there was no visible sign that he was in pain, and he said it didn't hurt. So that gave you some hope. But no, in terms of it having been an issue before this, that would not be something that I have heard at all.
And we know when he did hurt his shoulder in the past, the Tatis rules, I guess, 2 hands on the bat, no head first slide. You don't expect them to tell him to, rein it back a little bit here and let him just, run loose, right?
I don't think so, because he's already mostly gone to the feet first slides, right? And he's changed how he does most of his swings, and they think that he's okay, that there isn't a reason to worry, that sometimes when you have surgery that, hey, there's something that, happens, and you've experienced some pain. That's what they're saying it is, and that's what they're hoping it is, and he's back in the lineup. So I expect that it would be that he would be full go.
Kevin Acee with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I'm sure you've realized this. You also might have written this, that the Padres are 9-17 over the last 2 years against the Rockies. That to me is unbelievable. When I think about last year, I'm like, I didn't really remember that, but they had the slower start, and they might have been swept by the Rockies 1 or 2 times a year ago. Any explanation as to that? Because, again, the Rockies are probably on pace to be another 100-loss team like they were each of the last 2 years. And from a Padres perspective, you're hoping to do better than you've done the last 2 years, certainly, against this team.
Now, I have seen that, guys, and I've done the math here, and am I misremembering this? I thought they won this series last year. Now here's the deal. Over the last 4 years, they're 31-33. So whether we're going to dicker over when did they lose, I know that 3 of the last 4 years they have lost the series, and that 21, 22, 23, and 24, they are 31-33 against a team that has finished last place every year. So the point is the point. And they did have a losing record against them last year, even though they did much better against losing teams last year. They were 5-8 against the Rockies last year. So
5-8.
Yeah, your point is extremely valid. All they explain is, hey, it's familiarity. Well, shouldn't familiarity help you with them too? But yeah, this is the one team where you're just like, damn, good thing Charlie Blackmon retired. Good thing Randall Grichuk went to another team, because those guys just destroyed the Padres. Now Ryan McMahon's still here. Brenton Doyle's still here. It's like this team where some of these guys just feel really good against the Padres. And it does happen. Look, it does happen where you just see a team over and over. And if there's a couple guys on there that see your pitchers really well, and feel real comfortable in your park, you have the Jon Gomes effect where he never hit home runs against anyone but the Padres. And I guess that's what's happened. But yeah, it's the first thing I think about when I go, okay, playing the Rockies. In for a tough series against this last place team.
I must have done the math. I've seen a couple of places. You're right, Kevin. The Padres were 9-4 against the Rockies in 2023, and then 5-8 in 2024. But I think I should have done the deeper dive on that, because you're right. And I've said that about 10 times. But I had seen somewhere that they were 17-9 the last 2 years. I'm like, man, that's crazy. But they're not.
But the point is still absolutely valid, because, like I said, it's been 3 of the last 4 years that they have had a losing record against the Rockies.
Well, John's not going to be able to.
There we go. I can't sleep. I made this a big point today, Kevin, that they're 9-17 the last 2 years against the Rockies, and I'm dead wrong.
I'm trying to save you.
I appreciate. I know you are. That's the thing. I'm glad you corrected me. I would have said this for the next decade.
All right, they finally pulled even.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, is this a must-win series? Yeah. Kevin, what's the update with Darvish?
Well, things are going well, and he could be throwing off a mound soon. That's what I got for you. And it won't be like a full-on bullpen. We're like, oh wow, okay, next time 2 more bullpens and he's back in a game, or he's in a rehab assignment. Nope. I mean, still slow playing it, but the progress is there, because if it weren't, then he wouldn't be going off a mound soon.
Is the assumption that Dylan Cease shaved his beard because of how he pitched this past week in Sacramento?
I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure it didn't hurt, but he'd been asking about it about what people thought from time to time since spring. I don't know that he was taking, other people's advice, because he was asking about it for a while, but it obviously been on his mind. I think it's a pretty darn good look. Because still got some good flow going.
Well, I was going to say, if he continues to pitch poorly, the next thing that's going to go is that hair on top of his head, Kevin. So better be careful there.
That was the craziest outing. I don't know if you guys were – I know you watch every game, but I don't know if you were watching closely. That guy – it was the craziest outing. It was either the middle of the plate or nowhere near the plate, and it was 0-2 fastballs down the middle. It was bizarre.
Well, didn't he throw one to the backstop too?
Yeah, he was nowhere near the plate. Like, I mean, and then boom. And so, Dylan's not exactly. Dylan can be extremely insightful and forthcoming after he's had a chance to digest a start and to talk like more big picture. But immediately afterward, he's not exactly. He doesn't give you the insight say a Michael King does. You go to Michael King afterward, and you understood like what he was thinking on every pitch, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what was happening there, but that was really remarkable.
Yeah, I know you weren't watching the broadcast, but Don and Mud, when that happened, when he threw it to the backstop, they were both speechless. Like, wait, what was that? It was like, that was odd. Kevin, what's the latest with Jackson Merrill? Is he tracking to come off the IL once the 10 days is up here?
It sure seems like it, but then you hear like, well, no one's saying that because they, just like they were cautious putting him on, they're going to be cautious taking him off. So maybe the next couple of days might tell us something. Like, is he running? You know what I mean? Is he even jogging in the next couple of days? Because it's gonna take that. Because as I think anyone who's followed sports for a while knows, like not only can hamstrings stay with you like all season, it can become a thing, like your body. Like it can become a thing where a guy has to watch out for it every year. If you remember, Jackson missed a few games last year. It was actually in Colorado. It was either the whole series or a couple of them. With a hamstring, and it's like, I'm not saying that like, oh, this is a chronic thing, but I'm saying like this is one of those injuries where, they're very careful with because, what you saw it the other day with a guy who came back, I forget who it was, but right off the IL, boom, has to go home to second to home, and boom, he's back on the IL. The hamstring is just a scary thing. I will give some optimism that like it was not an injury. It was I feel this and I've felt it for a while and I had a really rough day on Sunday. And so then the team decided that, okay, let's shut this down before it is an injury. So that's like the positive, and he seems to be moving fine, but I don't want to give like false hope because like people are actually saying, well, we're going to wait and see. Let's wait a couple days.
Yeah, it's better to just say wait and see than, say, oh yeah, we expect him to be in the lineup on X day. Cause then if he's not, everyone's like, well, what are we doing here?
Well, I'll guarantee you on Jake, right? Like, cramping was always ridiculous, which is why the second day I just started talking about it as pain. Yeah. He did seem in a lot of pain. And I'll guarantee you this, there was no MRI machine at that Sacramento ballpark.
Oh, right.
So they just waited. They were like, look, he's not going to play. We'll just get the MRI on Thursday. And, so I don't know that they were being misleading, but it's just another reminder. We got to always take with a grain of salt those initial diagnoses.
Absolutely. Always grain of salt. With the team. Back to Merrill real quick. You mentioned, missing time last year because of hammy. He also missed time too in the minors, Kevin. I don't know if you know that's like with his broken wrist and also a hamstring injury. So hamstring injury for, last 3 seasons, I want to say, in his professional career. Not like crazy bad injuries to his hamstring, but something that's been like nagging him.
Right. And a guy who plays a lot, right? Like plays a lot and plays hard is what I really meant to say, is like he goes after it. And so on one hand, you're like, oh, okay, well, it really hasn't bothered him, right? Like for as hard as he goes. But like, he wasn't carrying this team, but he was one of the guys here in the first few weeks. And, it cropped up on him. So it absolutely is something to watch. And I had been watching him tape it and all that for a while. Didn't look like it was bothering, affecting his play. So I didn't really get into it, but like, it clearly is something that there's at least a little twinge in there since last homestand.
Kevin, always appreciate the reporting and the insight. It feels like there's a lot going on for 2 weeks into a year, and we'll catch up with you again before this Cubs series that kicks off on Monday evening. But thanks as always for doing it.
Right on, guys. Have a good one.
Great stuff from Kevin Acee, our Padres Insider, brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino and Resort. The Players Place. I had a point to make. Oh, this 9-17 thing. Your mic's off.
You were wrong.
Here's the thing. I didn't want to, you know me. I'm not going to I wasn't going to call out where I got this from.
Do it. I'll do it for you.
I'm not going to do it. I mean, I could have done it with Kevin. It's in the UT. Now, Kevin didn't
it's a
write
colleague.
It. But what I should have done is looked it up. And I did. I looked up 2024, but then we were on the air. I'm like, oh, wow, they went 5-8 in 2024. They must have gone 4 and whatever in 2023. So I looked up 2024. I didn't look up 2023. Where the UT got this wrong, not Kevin, is where they had the Padres were 9-4 in 2023. They wrote it as if they were 4-9. against them in 2023, but they were 9-4. I'll take the L on that because I've been reporting it based on something that I'm reading, but I was wrong.
Well,
there's someone at the ballpark right now thinking, hey, I heard John say they went 9-17 the last 2 years and thinking that's a factual statement because I thought it was a factual statement.
Look, we've watched every game for how long with this team?
Ever.
And we know over the last handful of years, they just have had problems against the Rockies.
Right.
So there's a factual statement.
Kevin had that, he said they're 2 games under 500 the last 4 years.
Right. So that for a team that has lost 100 games last 2 seasons and will likely lose 100 games again for this year.
Yeah.
To be a couple games under 500 the last 4 seasons against them, that shows that they'd struggle against the Rockies.
Do I have to issue a retraction through iHeart's media team nationally to recant any segment we've done on the show since it was not accurate or factual?
No.
Okay, good. We'll hear from Mike Shildty and Manny Machado coming up, plus Jim's back page. Padres Rockies game 1 later tonight. This is Jon and Jim. All right, it is the Friday finale of iHeartRadio Week, only on Wheel of Fortune. And we'll welcome the multi-platinum recording artist, Jason Derulo.
Say that again.
Will welcomes the multi-platinum recording artist, Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo. Do you know who that is?
I know the name. Also on the show, Andy Grammer.
Jason Derulo.
I said Derulo. I said his name right.
But when you say it, you got to say it like Jason Derulo.
What about JoJo? She's also on the show. Is it a woman? Anyway, and one lucky contestant.
Contestant? You're spending way too much time with me.
Just watch Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Tonight. Check your local listings. When is it on? We're going to hear from Mike Shildty. This was before the game. It wasn't after the game, as they haven't played.
Yes, John.
By the way, we are so thankful to live in San Diego for so many reasons. We've been watching all late afternoon here, this random Yankees game that's on Yes Network, Yankees Giants in the Bronx. The weather is so awful.
It looks really bad.
It's just the players are wearing hoodies. They're playing in like a driving light sleet storm. It's just wet. There's nobody in the seats. It's Yankee Stadium. It's a night game in April. It just makes you realize that this sport for the first month kind of sucks when you're not in San Diego.
They're trying so hard to get just through 5 there.
Yeah, they're like, just play the game. I know. All right, let's hear from Mike Shildty. This was pregame on the injuries that the Padres are dealing with and more.
All right, we heard from Fernando earlier. He said that he's feeling good, and we see he's not placed on the IL. Can we expect him in the lineup today?
You can. Yeah, he thankfully feels good. Had a productive off day in Sacramento. Had a productive off day yesterday. Came in today and was able to work with our medical staff, and everybody feels confident that he's in a position where he can go play baseball.
And then unfortunate news with Jake going on the IL. Is there any sort of timeline that we can expect? I know it is early.
Yeah. How about Jake Cronenworth, man? What a tough dude. Trivia question: how many guys have hit a homer with a fractured rib? Jake Cronenworth. So yeah, it was unfortunate. Shows how tough our guys are, how tough Croney is. As far as timelines go, it's unfair to put one on it. Medical will take the lead on it, but Jake will have a say in it as well. Fortunately, it wasn't displaced, so it's a matter of getting some of the fluid and some of the healing to take place. And then it's a matter of his functionality, and then hopefully it doesn't take too long. And then, it's unlike a pitcher where he has to get ramped up as much. We can get some at-bats and get him back on the field.
And then with Jackson Merrill, is there anything you can share with us on how he's feeling?
Making strides. It's with hamstrings, we're going to take it slow. They can still produce some things there that, he's still in the recovery process, which means rest. So it's not day to day, but he is healing, every day. It's a little better.
In regards to Yu Darvish, how is his progression going?
Yeah, Yu's in a good spot. He stayed back, played a really good catch, a more aggressive catch from my understanding. So he continues to lengthen out his long toss and is recovering well. So those are all positive things.
He's one of a kind.
He is the best.
Trivia question, everybody.
Trivia time.
Who has hit a home run with a fractured rib?
Jake Cronenworth.
There you go. Bar trivia for you. Aggressive catch.
The one thing that actually stuck out is when he said that they'll play it conservatively with Jackson Merrill.
As they should.
He's on the IL, so maybe that's the conservative part of it.
It's not like they're waiting to see that they put him on the IL.
You think he comes off the first day he's eligible to come off?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I think that might push a little longer.
Because hammies, man, it's like a lot of these things. They can take time.
One thing, though, for Mike Shildty to not do, just don't say the words, we expect X player back in the lineup on X day.
Yeah, that's fine. But he didn't guarantee it. He said, I reserve the right to change this.
I get it. I know. But still, you know what most fans hear?
They hear he's going to be back in the lineup. Yeah, that's true.
And again, I'm not like overly freaking out, but it is just,
I prefer the opposite now.
Yeah.
I want them to be like when like Tatis is out for the year. So then the next day, like he's in the lineup.
See?
Or like Cronenworth, he's gonna miss 6 months. Then he's back in 3 weeks. You're like, this is great.
I feel like now with you saying that, you can understand my pessimism when it comes to
not
thinking
really.
that my team's always gonna lose.
Yeah, maybe. I just love that like the injury
Expect the
thing
worst
is
and get
tricky.
surprised by, being wrong.
Yeah. And the injury things can be tricky. And again, an organization is never going to disclose like more than it has to.
No, and I never expect them to.
So, and you're right, they probably don't disclose enough from a Padres perspective. At the end of the day, here's the case: 10-3, down some guys, fully capable of winning series like this one coming up against Colorado. They've been perfect at home at 7-0. Hopefully, it's another good homestand, and you get closer to getting Jackson Merrill back.
Right, that's all that matters. Play good baseball. Luckily, you're not, who are the best teams in baseball now? It's not like facing the Dodgers this weekend and the Giants next Monday night.
You're right.
You travel to Philadelphia and then you go to New York to face the Mets. Like playing the Rockies this weekend, you can beat them without Merrill and without Cronenworth.
Do you want to hear from Manny Machado?
I would love to hear from Manny Machado.
We'll do it on the other side of a break. Padres and Rockies preparing for game one of a series downtown at Petco at 6:40. We'll hear from Manny Machado before this series gets underway next.
This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres lineup is out. Fernando Tatis Jr. is in the lineup, hitting leadoff for the Padres. That's the good news. Bad news, though. Jake Cronenworth has been placed on the 10-day IL with a non-displaced rib fracture. Padres Rockies 6:40 tonight at Petco Park. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres. Tomorrow night, SDFC looks to make it 3 wins in a row as they take on Colorado. 6:30 kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. And looking at the leaderboard at the Masters after day 2, Justin Rose still leads the tournament at 8 under par. Bryson DeChambeau 7 under par. And Rory is at 6 under par. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
Also tonight, because Jim failed to mention it,
shut up.
Lakers Rockets tonight at 7:30. You can hear it on San Diego Sports 760. This is what, the second to last regular season game for the Lakers. We are getting towards the end of the regular season. You'll hear the Lakers throughout the postseason right here on San Diego Sports 760. You ready for the NBA playoffs? Are the Warriors included this year?
Dude, they had a loss last night that really pissed me off.
Who did they lose to?
They lost to the Spurs of all teams. Now, they are still now in position where they hold they control their own destiny.
For what seed, or
to be not in the play-in tournament?
Oh, they can still be in the play-in?
Yeah. But they have to win their final 2 games against the Blazers and the Clippers. And the Clippers are playing like some of the best basketball in the league right now.
Okay. Well, they should beat the Blazers, and then the question is, can they beat the Clippers?
Yeah, they got some help last night with the Timberwolves beating the Grizzlies and John Morant. And
what's the deal with John Morant, dude?
Dude, his new celebration. How is he not going to get
grenade celebration? He said, until someone has a problem with it, I'm going to do it. And then once they have a problem with it, I'll do something else.
Like,
what?
He just throws a grenade in the crowd and then pretends it blows up and then covers his ears.
How about no weaponry celebration?
No
John?
guns, no grenades, no bazookas.
Just stay away for a couple years.
No anything, dude. What are we doing here?
Did you see the meme where it was like John Morant's celebration wheel and it was just like the weapons wheel from Grand Theft Auto 5?
So what guns are you going to use tonight?
Like, haven't you gotten in enough trouble over this? Like, let's come up with a new celebration.
He's one of the most immature professional athletes in a major sport today.
And he's no longer like a kid. No. Like, he's been around long enough, right?
Yeah.
How old is John Morant right now?
Late 20s.
He's only 25.
Mid-20s.
You know, but still, he's been in the NBA now for a while. Like, you're going to have to grow up.
He's a great player.
He is.
He is one of, if not the most immature stars in the game.
They fired their coach too, right?
They did.
So Grizzlies don't have a coach. Well, Nuggets fired their coach.
It was funny last night on TNT. They were saying, yeah, Tyler Jenkins, probably glad he's out of there. Doesn't have to deal with all that immature, childness from guys like John Morant.
The funniest thing ever could still happen in the West. It would be like the Mavericks as the 10th seed in the play and just go on a run.
Well, that won't happen. That won't happen.
But at 38 and 42, they will be in. They're 3 games up on the Suns. So they will be in.
They'll play the Kings in the 9-10.
Yep.
But
they're not.
4 through 8 is all up in the air right now.
Is 3 through 8 because the Lakers are only a game up on the Nuggets.
If the Lakers lose tonight to the Rockets, which is very possible, unless the Rockets just like throw the white flag up in the air.
Because they're set as the 2 seed.
Right. Then, I think, now again, I don't know if I want this to happen round 1, but there is a possibility round 1 could be Lakers-Warriors. If the Warriors win out, and of course the Lakers, I don't know what they got to do to maintain the 3 spot, but they get the 3 spot. Warriors win their final 2 games. They're the 6, and then they play the Lakers, unless like Denver loses their final 2 games, and then the Clippers lose their final 2 games, and Memphis as well. Then I think the Warriors can move up to 4.
Are we going to have a special broadcast for the Lakers, or excuse me, the Heat Bulls playing game? Will we be anywhere?
The East play-in games are, every team is under 500.
There are, the 10th seed's 36 and 44. The 9th seed is 37 and 43. The Hawks are 38-42. The 7 seed Orlando has won 4 straight to get to 40-40.
Wow.
So you're right. 3 of the 4 teams in the play-in will be under 500 in the Eastern Conference.
The East is basically between the Cavs and
Celtics.
the Celtics.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, the Bucks could make a little bit of noise, but
they've won 6 straight. The Bucks, overall,
they're good, but I don't know if they're like good enough to beat the Celtics or the Cavs in a 7-game series, unless Giannis just goes like nuclear.
Right. All right. Let's hear from Manny Machado, because Machado has spoken before this game. Jim's back page is coming up. Padres Rockies game 1 is at 6:40. I've been saying for like hours on end the Padres are 9-17 against the Rockies the last 2 years. That's a lie.
Yeah, good job, idiot.
Yeah, but I read it.
If I said that stat,
I would kill you.
Yeah, I know.
I would honestly, I would like send an email to corporate and be like, there should be repercussions for this.
Not only should you erase this show from the face of this earth, but that's what you would tell corporate, is that I should be like suspended or something.
Suspended for having the wrong stat. Yeah. All right, this was Manny Machado pregame in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it sucks, these injuries that come up, but it's part of the game. I think, hopefully it's just a short period for them to get healthy, and just means other guys got to step up and come up. I think it's just continue to do what we've been doing. I think all the spring training, I think we all emphasized on the guys that were there, that weren't making the team out of camp, that they were going to be a big part of this team. Just knowing that injuries happen, things happen throughout the year, that they're going to be key parts. I mean, we already saw Oscar come up here and have some big hits for us, and we're going to continue to see that as a team.
It's good to have Tyler Wade back. He says that he was ready, not in injury stink, but just to be ready for this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, everyone's ready. I think we made that clear leaving spring training, that it's not just going to take the 26 guys that broke camp with us, but it's going to take all 40 guys, or even all 50 guys that were in that camp all spring training to help us succeed. And it's good to have Tyler back. I think he was a big part of our team last year, and we're happy to have him back for sure.
Did you target 90 steals for this year?
How many?
90.
Is that what I'm on pace for?
I'm on pace for, yeah.
Shit, I wish. I've never done that in my life. I just got to 100. Got.
All right. So that was Manny Machado.
Whoops.
It's fine.
Anyway.
Dude, I'll tell you, radio. Because I remember all 3 of us have produced radio shows, correct?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Brent is freaking out right now. And
it's fine.
Yeah.
But all 3 of us have done this. I will say this. I think of the jobs hosting or running boards and producing. I think producing running boards is a lot harder.
Yes. Because
it's basically like being the field goal kicker, where if you miss the kick, that's all they expect you to make every kick. So when you miss a big one, it's on you.
Yeah. I usually think of it as, it's 2025. I think we're all adults, and things like this is fine. But I get it. There's FCC regulations, all that stuff. Anyway, we move on. So
John said way worse.
John has said way worse.
I have. That is
multiple
fair.
times.
That is fair.
You have you've called me some mean names on the radio.
I'm not intentionally. Maybe intentionally.
100% intentionally, and then not realizing that you can't say those words on the radio.
Correct. I will say this about Manny Machado. He is in a good place right now to start this year. I know it's early, the 900 OPS, the 340 batting average. He's just in a good place because he's had slower starts. He finally got that home run to start his year. He always starts slow with the power. But offensively, he's been really good. The team has been really good. I just feel like Machado is in a good place, which is helping the Padres get off to this really good start. And I just hope that continues as long as possible. Coming off that year where he wasn't healthy, even though he played all year, it actually does seem like he's fully recovered from the year before.
I agree with that. You just haven't, you're going to see at the end of the year, if he stays healthy-ish, he's always dealing with injuries, but if he stays healthy-ish, 30 bombs, 85, 95 RBI.
Correct.
280, 810, 815 OPS, 820, hopefully, You're that's just going to be his numbers. Maybe better.
Mm-hmm.
And before he got cut off there, he was talking about, being on pace for 90-something steals this year.
That would be a really nice year for Machado. If he gets to 90s and steals 100 would be better.
Yeah, like
if he
maybe
steals 100, it'd be
32 home runs, 94 stolen bases.
Well, if that were to happen, that's when you'd be like, this steal stat is going to have to change.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
It would make the 50-50 year from Ohtani that everyone glazed over last year.
Yeah, look
like
a little
as I
worse.
said, feel like it's just kind of not really that big of a thing.
You think he could steal 30 bases?
Yeah.
Manny?
Yeah, I do.
Could.
And
He's already got 5.
if Manny stole 30 bases, I mean, come on.
He's tied for second with 6.
I know.
So he's tied for second in baseball with 6. That's unbelievable. Nobody's stolen more than 7. So, yeah, but you're right. I mean, the steal numbers are way up around the league.
Yeah.
Since they went to the larger bases, can't throw over as much.
Yeah, you're going to see over the course of time some pretty crazy stolen base numbers. And guess what? There will be maybe another 50-50 year just because of the stolen bases.
Steals.
Now, the 50 home runs would be way harder than the stolen
Yep.
bases.
Yeah.
But
you think Toddy steals 30 bases this year? He has 5.
I'm going to say no. I just don't trust him to stay healthy.
I know. And I just wonder if they put some restraining, restrictor plates on him.
Yeah. I just don't trust him. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah.
I love watching him play. I just don't trust him.
He's got 5, but no, I'm with you. I'm a little concerned about that because there's been times where he's run his career, and then there's been times they've just shut it down.
Yep.
With him running. All right, on the other side, we've got Jim's back page. We're here until 6 p.m. as the Padres get ready for the Rockies. Game 1 of a 3-game series tonight down at Petco Park. This is Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Northbound 5 still slow through Del Mar and Solana Beach. Then again in Carlsbad. We've got a crash northbound 5 at Carlsbad Village Drive. This one blocking the HOV lane and the fast lane. CHP is on scene for that. And the southbound 5 still heavy through Camp Pendleton down to the 78. I'm Darren Edwards with a look at San Diego traffic.
Anderson's Drain Stoppage Guarantee. Solve issues for $63 or it's on the house. Nobody wows clients like they do. Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air has been privileged to serve over 500,000 residential clients for more than 45 years. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim again for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. They've got a great promotion going on all April long. Monday Night Live, smashing Easter eggs. Every Monday in April, you've got a chance to win big with 10 winners every hour at 7, 8, 9 p.m. All right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible, and Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. You can text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars standard message and data rates apply. We will have a wrap-up show for you tonight, Jim.
We will have a wrap-up show for you tonight, John.
Exactly. So that'll be after game one of this Padres Rockies series. Let's see if this momentum. We haven't really talked about the fact that they're 10-3 and they won 2 of 3 against the A's, and they've got the best record in baseball. But that's who they are, 10-3 with the Rockies here. Favorites obviously at home this weekend. So hopefully the good times continue this weekend down at Petco Park, where the Padres have been pretty good this year.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Pick up a win tonight. Continue with the best record in baseball, which is cool. That's early, but it's cool to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the best, and it's not after like the first game of the year.
They're 1-0.
Yeah, though they're 2-0. Everyone else is 1-1.
No, you're right. The longer you can say it, the better.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you're going to look up and be like, "Wow, they've played for 6 or 7 weeks and they're still playing like this." That's really impressive.
Yep. Just keep stacking up wins. More importantly, just keep stacking up, series wins. That's what you do, and you look up at the end of the month, and it's like, oh wow, okay.
I think just looking at like the upcoming schedule. I'm not going to go through all 150 games or whatever, but
why not?
After the Rockies series, I would argue that the stretch of Cubs, Astros on the road, Tigers on the road is a pretty real stretch over 10 games. Now, again, they've played good opponents so far, but Cubs at home, at Houston, at Detroit, like that's a decent test, I would say.
I haven't looked at the
Rays.
No, I haven't looked at like where Framber Valdez and Tariq Skubal would like line up.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, exactly.
Potentially facing the Padres in that series.
Right.
Because Valdez is one of the best pitchers in baseball. So is Tariq Skubal, obviously.
Exactly. Be nice if you can avoid both somehow.
If you avoided both of them, that'd be awesome. And then I don't know when Shota Imanaga
it's pitched either. Yeah, good point.
I would say he probably will be pitching in that series.
Because you've already seen him, you're saying?
Yeah, so like where it lines up.
Yeah.
If you pitched Friday, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, probably Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. So you could, in the next couple of weeks, you could be facing Imanaga, Valdez, and Tariq Skubal.
Or you could miss him.
And last year was a year where they missed a lot of good pitchers.
They sure did. I remember we talked about that a lot.
Like they didn't face Paul Skeens at all.
In two series.
Yeah.
You're right.
He was ducking Jackson Merrill, but still.
That's what happened. That's what
100%.
he said.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to face Jackson Merrill. I was not the rightful Rookie of the Year, and I wanted to preserve my Rookie of the Year status. And if I faced Jackson Merrill, I would have lost the award that I should not have won.
Showed pitched on Wednesday.
Okay, so he pitched on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see him.
Maybe the Wednesday.
We'll see him Monday,
game,
Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
It's time for Jim's Back Page.
I got to blame the fans and the media. And after that, it's the lineman's fault, it's the coach's fault, the owner's fault, the turf, referees.
Today's stories that you might have missed.
All right, John. I don't know what all these numbers mean, but I do know this. Today in the UT, has been reported that San Diego is tied for the highest inflation in the United States. New York and San Diego had an inflation rate of 3.8% in March. Don't really know what that means, but I get it. Everything's really expensive. Everything is going up.
Yeah, but we're number one.
We're number one.
Here's the thing. San Diego's not cheap, but San Diego's San Diego.
It's very expensive.
And by the way, there's a lot of expensive places in the country. And you're right, inflation's inflation.
New York's not cheap either.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, like, there's expensive places in the country. San Diego's included in that list.
Yeah.
But San Diego's a great place to live.
As I said, New York and San Diego are tied for the highest rate of a metro area in the United States, followed by Chicago and Los Angeles.
Okay.
San Diego Metro, which includes all of San Diego County, saw prices rise at a quicker rate than the nation, which averaged 2.4%.
So we're beating the nation.
We are. We're number one. The main factors raising San Diego's rates were gasoline, fruit and vegetables, and alcoholic beverages.
I like gasoline. It's important.
You like gasoline?
I mean, for my car.
Yeah.
I like fruit and vegetables.
Okay.
And, maybe a drink here or there as well.
Listen to this. San Diego's rate is still much lower than it has been in recent years. It hit a high of 8.2% in 2022.
Is that right? Here's the thing. I don't do a lot of grocery shopping, so I just kind of avoid it.
So you just don't see anything?
I don't see it.
I do a lot of grocery shopping, and I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
I told Kristen one day, I'm like, I went like, why is this like expensive? She's like, is this your first time at a grocery store? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. See those oranges over there? Yeah, they're expensive.
What's the deal?
See that olive oil over there? It's like $9.
Right.
Actually, that's cheap for olive oil.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Some olive oil can range from like $15 to $20 to like $30.
Make your own olives, or like get olives and create oil.
Okay. You know that Alexander Ovechkin guy, the guy that was
The all-time goal scorer leader.
Yeah, but he was also
Bronny?
what it means for LeBron's legacy.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
that guy. Yeah. So a warm-up puck from the game that Ovechkin scored, his 895th goal, was sold by the Islanders this past week for $375, a warm-up puck. That then puck went on eBay and sold yesterday for $3,500.
I was going to say, why would they sell that for so cheap? That seems like a deal.
The puck is engraved, says New York versus Washington, official warm-up puck for April 6, 2025 between the Islanders and the Capitals. I don't know if I want a warm-up puck, but whatever.
I'll take a warm-up puck. Is it just me, or has the NHL had a complete resurgence this year with the Four Nations into Ovechkin into their postseason? I feel like they're like on the uptick. Don't you?
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a lot of attention on the NHL over the last 4 months. It seems like that to me. I think there's way more national stories around the NHL. Ovechkin, Four Nations, into this postseason. It just seems like that.
Well, ESPN put a good amount of money
ESPN,
into
you're
it,
right.
so
Yeah,
they're
you're right.
making it so people know about it.
Yep.
They chose hockey over baseball. Think about that.
And Turner, because it's on TNT
It's
now,
on
too.
TNT, too. You're right. Yep.
Remember the Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan debut jerseys?
Debut, yes, I do.
So the Kobe Bryant NBA debut jersey.
So from like 96 rookie year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Open for bidding this morning.
Okay.
Or I guess yesterday morning. Sorry. The bidding is estimated to reach over $10 million, making it the most expensive Kobe jersey and the 7th most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever.
10 million?
Over the estimated value
10 million.
Is 10 million. This could go for anything, but the estimated value of it before the bidding, is over with is 10 million.
That's unbelievable to me, isn't it? It's an unbelievable amount of money.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's
What about
crazy.
the Jordan?
I forget what the Jordan sold for. I think the Jordan sold for almost like 5 million.
Did they have what the most expensive thing was that you mentioned in there?
No, I don't know what it is, but
that was
I feel like it's a Ty Cobb bat or
It was the
something
LeBron
like that.
Barbie.
No, I was
Bronny's rookie card.
Yeah. I mean, there's Jordan sneakers that are pretty expensive out there, but I don't think they're reaching 10 million.
All right, wrap-up show tonight. Good week. We'll catch up with you Monday at 2 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here. This is San Diego Sports 760.
Oh, okay.
Bye-bye.